What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 6 Ma. Chapter 108 Marine Hero, Monkey D Garp. Open black lens bracket 6/7 for customization close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Cold. The biting coldness made Luffy feel goosebumps all over his body trembled uncontrollably, trembling, his face was shocked and terrified. His worldview has been overturned. The scene that happened just now undoubtedly directly shattered his worldview and cognition. Aokiji Kuzan. This is the Admiral of Headquarters. As the highest combat power in Marine, it is also known as the top combat power in the sea. However, it's such a powerful Aokiji Kuzan, who was punched in seconds. Who can believe this? It's incredible. I must be dreaming. Luffy spent a lot of effort, dragged his heavy body, raised his hand, and pinched his thigh fiercely. The tingling sensation spreads all over the body. Not a hallucination. Everything that happened before my eyes was real. Not a dream. All happened for real. Well, that's Marine Admiral. Luffy was pale and bloodless, trembling endlessly. Marine Admiral was killed in seconds. What is this concept? Rao Luffy, as the best agent of CP9 in the past 800 years, with his calm psychological quality, when he saw the scene just now, he couldn't help being shocked. The most powerful existence in the sea was instantly killed by a single punch. Who could have imagined it if he hadn't seen it with his own eyes? Even if he saw it with his own eyes, Luffy couldn't believe it. However, hundreds of meters away, the ruins of the damaged and collapsed building all revealed that everything just happened was real. And not hallucinations. Who can kill Admiral of Headquarters with one punch? Who has this, 7 or 60, strength? Luffy couldn't even imagine in his dreams that what happened just now can be called a shocking worldly thing. Who can kill Admiral in seconds? Looking at the sea, who has such strength? Even if Luffy wanted to break his head, he still couldn't think of a reason. Marine Admiral itself is already at the top of the pyramid of the sea, as the strongest group of humans. How could it be possible to be instantly killed by someone? Even if the Admiral of Headquarters can be defeated by someone, it is still impossible to be instantly killed by someone, right? Being defeated, Luffy can still express acceptance and understanding. However, being instantly killed by someone is terrifying. This is Marine Admiral. No matter how bad it is impossible to be instantly killed by someone, right? Even in the case of surprise, without any psychological preparation, Marine Admiral's strength is here. How could he be instantly killed? But who can explain it? What happened in front of my eyes just now? Luffy's throat was dry and his whole body was trembling. Just like Luffy's mood at the moment. Kaku and Khalifa, who witnessed the scene where Aokiji was instantly killed with a single punch, also showed the same mentality as Luffy, and they were stunned. What's going on? What did they see? Aokiji was seconded. Admiral of Headquarters, Aokiji Kuzan, would be killed by a single punch. How can that be? Big Admiral, the most powerful human being in the sea. He was seconded. Kaku opened his mouth, his eyes were dull, and his eyes were full of horror. Turned, he stared blankly at the ruins of a broken building hundreds of meters away. He swallowed, his face full of fear. Real or fake? What are you kidding? Admiral of Headquarters, a terrifying existence whose strength stands at the top of human beings. How could someone be killed in seconds? This is probably too exaggerated. It's outrageous. Kaku, am I hallucinating? Khalifa's pink lips moved slightly, her pretty face turned pale. Her delicate body was trembling with unconcealable fear, trembling, paralyzed on the edge of the dark corner, exhausted and unable to move. I think this is not a hallucination. Kaku's tone was also a little uncertain. Although things did happen right before our eyes, it was too unbelievable. As strong as Admiral, how could he be instantly killed? Even though he witnessed it with his own eyes, he was still not sure about what he saw just now when he returned to Kaku. It's not a hallucination. Khalifa's eyes were absent, her beautiful eyes dull and terrified. That is, just now, Marine Admiral was really caught off guard. Advertisement. Punch. With just one punch, Admiral of Headquarters Aokiji Kuzan was instantly killed on the spot. Obediently. What exactly is going on? The heads of the three of them became a mess at this moment, their thinking was short-circuited, and they were completely unable to restore the ability to think normally. As excellent agents of CP9, they certainly understand very clearly that Marine Admiral is a group of terrifying monsters. Compared to the pirates on the Grand Line, their CP9 clearly understands the terrifying combat power and dominance represented by the Admiral of Headquarters. It is precisely because of too much understanding. They were deeply shocked and appalled by what was happening right now. If they were just defeated, they wouldn't be so shocked. But the problem is, Aokiji was killed with one punch. Was instantly killed without any power to fight back. That scene, so far, the incomparably profound, lingering in their minds, must make them have a deep memory in this life, and it is completely indelible. Admiral, by one. What a terrible thing is this? Grunt. Swallowing his saliva, Luffy turned his eyes, and looked at the center of the battlefield through his blurred vision with eyes full of fear and shock. Just where Aokiji was standing before he was knocked into the air. Under the gaze. I see. I don't know when it will start. A burly and stalwart figure, as if appearing out of nowhere, stands in the center of the battlefield, wearing a Justice Marine uniform, fluttering in the wind, looking majestic. This moment, Lu Chi's eyes were dull. The gazes of Kaku and Khalifa also moved one after another, and they were fixed on the burly figure in the marine uniform, unable to move away. Silence. The atmosphere is weird. Lu Chi's lips trembled, and he stared at this burly figure with fear on his face. Yes, is it Marine? He dare not imagine. In Marine, there is such a level of existence. Killing Aokiji with one punch. How is this possible? Isn't Admiral the highest combat power in Marine? But why? It was given a second by another Marine. Even if they are both admirals, it is impossible for one side to be instantly killed, right? But Lu Chi can be sure that he is absolutely right. The one who flew Aokiji away with one punch and instantly killed Aokiji is this burly figure in the center of the battlefield at this moment, wearing a Marine uniform. Countless confused thoughts flooded Lu Chi's head. He still can't figure it out. In Marine, when did this monster appear? As strong as Admiral, they were killed by one punch. Such a terrifying existence, because Mao is not Dion. Admiral isn't the strongest in Marine. In Marine, why is there a hidden existence that can instantly kill Admiral? Lu Chi and Kaku couldn't think of an accurate answer at all. Things became scary and confusing. There was a slight breeze. Cold, sweeping the quartet. The temperature here is still extremely cold. Biting coldness filled Lu Chi and his body. Coupled with the fact that they have been completely covered by many emotions such as fear and shock, their bodies tremble uncontrollably and tremble. Who can explain? In Marine, why isn't Admiral the strongest? What kind of terrifying existence is stronger than Admiral? I clearly remember that Admiral represents the strongest Marine. Then here comes the question. The one who killed Admiral in seconds, where did he come from? Lu Chi swallowed his saliva, still unable to resolve these confusions. In Marine, who else can kill Admiral in seconds? Does such a thing really exist? Why isn't Admiral the strongest in Marine? Lu Chi's perception of Marine in the past, with today's scene, has been completely overturned. The same is true for Kaku and Khalifa, who had exactly the same emotions, thoughts, and confusion as Lu Chi. The state of the three of them is almost completely consistent at this moment. The three of them stared closely at the burly figure who suddenly appeared on the battlefield with terrified eyes. Their eyes could not be moved away, and their fear pierced their hearts. This figure, presented in their eyes, is extraordinarily majestic. Tall, burly, let the fear in their hearts grow stronger and stronger. Powerful, advertisement. Too strong. Kill Admiral with one punch. How terrible is this ability to do it? Strong is simply unfathomable. The sea, is there really such a monster? It can kill Admiral in seconds. It is unimaginable. This figure, I always feel very familiar. Kaku opened his mouth, his eyes lost for a while. I feel it too. Khalifa deeply agreed, and Yuan hurriedly nodded. It seems like we've seen it somewhere before. Where did you see it? I can't remember at the moment. Kaku grabbed his forehead tightly, forced himself into memories, and began to search for many scattered memory fragments in his head. You mention it like that. I seem to have a little impression. But, that's impossible, isn't it? Lu Chi suddenly spoke in a tone full of horror. His expression produced very violent emotional ups and downs at a speed visible to the naked eye. Who is it? Kaku and Khalifa looked at Lu Chi one after another. Who can kill Admiral in seconds? Marine. How could there be such a terrifying existence in Marine? Admiral means the strongest. However, everything that happened before them had to be believed. In Marine, there really is a monster that can instantly kill Admiral. Now, this monster was standing in the center of the battlefield in front of them. Can't stand them not believing it. This is the truth. They have no other choice but to accept. Even though all this really overturned their cognition, they could only grit their teeth and force themselves to accept all these terrifying events that could be called horrific. Do you remember? Before we joined CP9, those people above had popularized a lot of basic knowledge for us. Among them, some simple knowledge points of Marine were included. And when popularizing the knowledge points of Marine, those people solemnly introduced to us, those famous bosses of Marine. Compared to Marine 3 Admiral, a big guy with a bigger reputation. The first of these is Sengoku of the Buddha, present-day Marine Marshal. Before joining CP9 and becoming an excellent agent of CP9, many instructors have popularized most of the basic knowledge of the sea for them. As an excellent agent, it is natural to have more knowledge than ordinary people. The group of instructors deliberately introduced them in detail one by one. In the entire Marine today, those famous and prominent bosses. Those basic knowledge points are still deeply remembered by Lu Chi. Therefore, looking back at this moment, Lu Chi's eyes were full of shock, and he stared blankly at the burly and stalwart figure in the Marine uniform on the battlefield, and spoke again. Then, the second one is, in most people's minds, it is a terrifying existence that is louder than the Buddha's Sengoku prestige. It's not just what the majority thinks. 0.7. In comparison. It can be confirmed with great accuracy. This person's reputation is much louder than Marine Marshal Sengoku. Paused. Lu Chi's eyes were slack, and his spirit became a little trance. In addition to the shocking emotional waves in his eyes, he gradually began to show a strong sense of awe and admiration. This one is the most terrifying and lingering nightmare in the hearts of countless pirates of the era. He once pushed the One Piece King Luogia into a desperate situation again and again. He also fought countless times with Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world. Looking across the sea, his illustrious reputation is basically known to everyone. Whether it's the old era, or this new era. In Marine, there have been many legends about him. In fact, compared to today's Marine 3 Admiral, in the minds of countless Marines, the status are even higher. Apart from Marine Admiral Buddha Sengoku, this is the last one left. Whether it's status, identity, or strength. All above the Marine 3 Admiral. Also known by all Marines. Marine's hero. Speaking of this, Lucci could clearly see it. Covering the faces of Kaku and Khalifa, there was a thick look of dullness and shock. Then, Lucci took a deep breath, and spoke again in a shocking tone. I think, at this moment, you should have already guessed who the person I want to talk about is, who is so sacred. That's right. He is the one. Marine hero, Monkey D Garp. Advertisement Chapter 109 Our CP9 provoked a hero 3rd generation. Open black lens bracket 7/7 for customization close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Marine hero, Monkey D Garp. As soon as Lucci's words fell, the expressions of Kaku and Khalifa became even more astonished. They hurriedly twisted their stiff necks, turned their heads, and stared blankly at the burly figure that suddenly appeared in the center of the battlefield. That back figure, presented in their eyes, looked extraordinarily stalwart. This time, it will be that Marine's hero. This is a more prominent existence than the 3 admirals of Marine. By comparison, the prestige of Marine 3 Admiral, compared to the title of Marine Hero, is simply weak. Whether it is strength, or prestige, status and so on. Marine heroes are enough to completely crush Marine Admiral. In front of this guy, Marine Admiral is a junior with no hair. This guy who ventured into the sea, when there was a bloody storm in the sea and suppressed countless pirate groups. Marine Admiral, they might still be wearing crotch pants. Speaking of the dreaded Marine. Whether it was Lucci, or Kaku, Khalifa, they all showed expressions of shock, admiration, and fear, and emotional waves emerged on their faces, which could not be concealed. Amazing. Will it really be this one? The famous and legendary Marine. A living legend in Marine. The legend about this man, looking inside and outside the Marine, is basically talked about by people every day. There are countless legends about him. There are so many legends about the hero Garp. The experience of a lifetime. It's a legend. Lucci lost his eyesight 14 and whispered to himself. Yes, this is a legend. Marine legend. It can also be said that Marine is currently living a terrible legend. Let all Marines worship and regard them as godlike terrifying existences. Hero Garp, also known as Garp the Fist. Marine's legend, pirate's nightmare. A loud and legendary Marine. His status in the eyes of all Marines is equivalent to that of the One Piece King Luogia in the hearts of all pirates. Irreplaceable, supreme, in the eyes of everyone in Marine, the highest belief. Just thought of, there was one in front of him, such a terrifying Marine boss. Lucci, Kaku and the others all looked unnatural, terrified and frightened. Lucci, you can't see it wrong, right? This kind of boss actually came to the capital of 7 waters. Khalifa's pink lips moved slightly, her tone full of suspicion. Will this kind of Marine legend really come to the capital of 7 waters? Can't figure it out. Furthermore, why did the other party suddenly come to the capital of 7 waters? What's more, if it is really this legendary Marine, then why did the other party appear in this place by such a coincidence at this moment? Moreover, the opponent also took the initiative to intervene in the battlefield. He also punched Aokiji, who is also a Marine and even Admiral of Headquarters. This is very wrong. Anyway, Aokiji is also a majestic Admiral of Headquarters, with the same background as the legendary Marine. There should be no contradictions and conflicts between the two. Why? This legendary Marine, but so decisive and weird, one punch kills Aokiji in seconds. This is Marine Admiral, representing the highest combat power and face of Marine. Could it be? Have the conflicts within Marine become so intense? Just met, you want to beat you to death. But no. According to Lucci and the others' initial understanding, they understood very clearly that the relationship between the legendary Marine and Aokiji is both a teacher and a friend, and they are very friendly. So here comes the problem. In this situation, advertisement. Aokiji, why was he killed by one punch? With this punch, they couldn't see the slightest intention of being merciful. What is the reason that prompted this legendary Marine to instantly kill Aokiji with one punch without hesitation? Kill this mentor and friend Marine Admiral instantly. Countless thoughts and confusion entangled in the minds of Lucci and Kaku, making them puzzled, and they couldn't think of a reason at all. No doubt, all the things that happened in front of them overturned their cognition, and made their thoughts seriously deadlocked, completely unable to think of a reasonable explanation plan. Are the news and intelligence we have learned in the past all false? Kaku couldn't help expressing doubts. Said Marine hero Garp, friendly with Admiral Aokiji. Friendly enough to the point where you fight immediately after meeting. This is very confusing. Perhaps the key point here. On that young monster. From this monster, we can find the answer we want. Lucci's pupils shrank, and he took a deep breath, trying to suppress the shock in his heart as much as possible. What? Is it related to this monster? Kaku and Khalifa were shocked. Putting aside all their thoughts, they gradually accepted the fact that this stalwart figure in front of them was the legendary Marine, the hero of Marine, Monkey D Garp. There is only this explanation. Only then can he explain why Aokiji, who is a majestic Admiral of Headquarters, was killed in one punch. Except for this legendary Marine. Who can do it? Kill Admiral of Headquarters with one punch? No, only one person. Rao is Sengoku, they don't think each other has this ability either. Only Garp can do it. With bare hands, one punch killed Aokiji, the Admiral, on the spot. In terms of strength, in Marine, only the one in front of me can do it. There is no second person, kill Aokiji instantly. Insanely strong. As this the legendary Marine. One punch, seconds away today's Admiral of Headquarters Aokiji Kuzan. It seems that Aokiji Admiral was instantly killed without any power to fight back. This strength, looking at the sea, no one can shake it. As expected of a living legend in Marine. Monkey D Garp. The three of them stared at the stalwart figure on the battlefield in awe. Although they are not Marines, they cannot stop their admiration and fear for such legendary figures. Garp's deeds and legends have already crossed the Marine and reached the ears of countless CP organizations. In the eyes of the CP organization, Garp is also a resounding legend. E.j.e. the existence that once pushed Luogia, the king of the One Piece, into desperation with his own power. Looking at the world, only imitation. In Marine, only one Garp can do it. This is an absolute powerhouse. The CP organization advocates force. Naturally, the heart is full of admiration for such a top powerhouse. Paused. The gazes of Lu Chi and the others turned and moved to the side of this stalwart figure, that young and immature figure holding a samurai sword. His expression was full of fear. Two figures, one big and one small, appearing in the eyes of Lu Chi and the others, it made them look suspicious. Key point. Could it be on this monster? The main reason why Marine hero, Rikwon kills Admiral Aokiji instantly. Is it because of this monster? Is it possible? The thinking of the three of Lu Chi was a little stiff, their faces were dull, and they dared not speak. Is this legendary Marine really involved with this monster? Khalifa's tone was a little panicked. If the two parties are really involved. She dare not imagine. Today, they CP9, what a terrifying existence they provoked. Advertisement. Not only the strength is terrifying, but even the talent is unique. Also, the identity and background of the other party is actually not small. Think about it. Both Lu Chi and Carrie shuddered. Obediently. No way. Things, are they really going to develop in the direction they least want to see? This is a Marine hero, a legendary Marine. How could that monster be involved with this kind of existence? Suddenly, Lu Chi's throat was dry, and his thinking became chaotic. He started to panic. What they least want to believe seems to be more and more in line with the current development track of things, and it is getting closer and closer to the truth. What a terrifying monster did we provoke? Kaku's throat was dry and his voice trembled. This moment, he felt it very strongly, and an ominous premonition enveloped his heart. If this monster really has anything to do with the legendary Marine. So, what they did today, isn't Mei looking for death? As this monster not only terrifying in its own strength, but also in its identity and background. Lu Chi was a little terrified. Strength, talent, background, all of these, are all 770 gathered in one person. Card-free 7 thicket. Thinking of this, Lu Chi panicked. Shouldn't that be the guesswork? Is there really some connection between this monster and the legendary Marine? What is the relationship between them? Staring blankly at the two figures, one big and one small, this question popped into Lu Chi's mind. All in all, the current Lu Chi and the others can basically be concluded. The relationship between the two must be extraordinary. Otherwise, Garp couldn't do that, he punched Aokiji mercilessly. Obviously, at that time, Aokiji seriously threatened Layfon, which prompted Garp to throw a punch without mercy, and Aokiji who threatened Layfon was instantly killed on the spot. For someone who can make Garp do this, the relationship between the two is really normal. Ordinary relationship, can make Garp so eager. Didn't even spare a punch Marine Admiral. Many thoughts lingered in Lu Chi's mind. The mood of the three of them also became more and more frightened, and they trembled all over. We seem to be. It provoked a truly incredible existence. Kaku couldn't help but speak. It can already be clearly judged that the relationship between Layfon and Garp is extraordinary. There is no doubt about it. In short, this time, their CP9 really caused a lot of trouble and disaster. Yes, a descendant of the hero Garp. Grandson of the hero Garp. Khalifa then said in a shocking tone. That is to say, hero's third generation. Not to mention, this possibility feels very realistic to them. The age gap between the two is also very consistent with this guess. Hero's third generation. Hero Garp's grandson. After listening to Khalifa's words, Lu Chi couldn't help swallowing. His eyes were wide and round, his face was pale and bloodless, his tone was a little trembling, full of horror and shock. Doesn't that mean that our CP9 has provoked a hero third generation this time? Advertisement chapter 110. What? Is this monster Vice Admiral Garp your grandson? Open black lens bracket 1/10 for customization close black lens bracket. Advertisement. There was a slight breeze. Bitter cold air hits the face. Cold. The biting coldness swept across the bodies of Lu Chi, Kaku, and Khalifa, making them feel goosebumps all over their bodies, and their faces were terrified and panicked. Obediently. Hero's third generation. Is it possible? They actually messed with a real third generation. Hero Garp's descendant. Grandson. Think about it. Whether it's Lu Chi or Kaku, their spines are a little chilly, their backs are wet with cold sweat, their hairs are standing on end, and their bones are terrified. Don't make wild guesses. All of this is just our conjecture, which cannot be verified accurately. Before we get the truth, we should not continue to speculate too much. Lucci hurriedly stopped Khalifa's association. Without conclusive evidence, it is absolutely impossible for him to accept the conjecture Khalifa just raised. This is incredible. In the information they received, it has never been revealed that this legendary marine has such a young grandson. And this grandson's talent and strength are as terrifying as a monster. Hopefully, my guess is just an illusion. Otherwise, it will be a real disaster. Khalifa's pink lips moved slightly, her voice trembling. Really, if the conjecture is true, then their CP9 will be in big trouble. Offended an existence that he couldn't afford to offend at all. What will happen to their CP9? Even they can't imagine. Taking the initiative to mess with a descendant of a marine hero. This is simply a serious provocation. It's a big trouble. Kaku shook his head bitterly. The ominous premonition seems to be about to be fulfilled. CP9, who have always been lawless, never thought that they would encounter such troubles. This is true because Kaku failed to predict it in advance. It's okay to provoke a monster with terrifying strength. The essential, this monster seems to have a huge background. This is the end of the calf. CP9, who has always caused people to disregard each other's background, now seems to really give them arrogance, which has caused a huge trouble and disaster. Calm down first. Things are turning around. Perhaps, things are not as troublesome as we imagined. Lucci hurriedly comforted Kaku and Khalifa, and he was using this reason to soothe his palpitations and trembling. Hope, not the worst. At the moment, the development of the situation has seriously exceeded the scope of CP9's control. Just thought of, they may indeed have offended a descendant of a marine hero. In Lucci's mood, he couldn't help trembling and his scalp was numb. All of this is just speculation. Not real. That's right. It's all just speculation. Looking for an excuse on his own, Lucci's mood calmed down a little. The atmosphere is silent. Weird as ever. In the dark and cold alley, the walls on both sides were broken, collapsed, and countless wreckage and fragments formed ruins piled up on both sides. Rumble. With a bang. The floor tiles under his feet seemed to be shaking and vibrating violently. In a ruin, countless broken stone remains were all directly rushed by a terrifying force, rolled and scattered towards the high-altitude waste, turning into countless debris and scattered in all directions. A hand sticks out from the ruins. Then, second hand. After a lot of effort, Aokiji, who was in a terrible shape, finally crawled out of the ruins. One look. The light-colored clothes on his body were already torn, and there was a little bloodline all over his body. His skin was scratched a lot by the stone fragments here, and the blood spilled infected the clothes on his body. While the light-colored clothes became full of dust, they were also stained with traces of blood. Cough cough. Spitting out blood, Aokiji rubbed his nose, feeling that the bridge of his nose seemed to collapse, and the tingling pain that came from him made him gasp. Embarrassed. How embarrassing. The majestic Admiral of Headquarters, Aokiji has not encountered such an embarrassing situation for many years. Now, there were scars of varying degrees on his entire face, especially the bridge of the nose, as if it was about to be smashed, the nose was bleeding, and there were many large and small scars on his face. Advertisement. This punch, seconds Aokiji. But in fact, it didn't cause too much injury to Aokiji. With Aokiji's physique as strong as a monster, this injury can naturally be ignored. It's just that Aokiji cares. He has not been beaten so miserably for many years. Ever since becoming Admiral of Headquarters, Aokiji has never experienced such a blown experience. This time, the long-lost experience of being hammered by someone left Aokiji speechless. He himself couldn't figure it out. It's fine, I just forgot to send something, why bother? And got punched hard. Aokiji was very depressed and wronged. I just want to give something away. Why did Mao take this punch? Your battles are none of my business. Hit me for what? Aokiji cursed inwardly, rubbed the bridge of his stinging nose, and twisted his face full of pain. The muscles on his face were twitching. Good guy. With this punch, real strength penetrated to the face. Aokiji himself almost forgot. It has been many years since he was beaten so badly. Speak. I am also a dignified Admiral of Headquarters. This punch is merciless, don't I want to lose face? Aokiji couldn't help complaining in his heart. The faint sunlight scattered from the sky, shining on his current figure. It's unimaginable. Admiral, the dignified Headquarters, was beaten so embarrassingly. One punch, instant kill on the spot. Thereby, at this time, the clothes on Aokiji's body looked torn, and there were many scars on his face. Although the injuries were not serious, they were still aching. Most importantly, it affects aesthetics. He is the Admiral of Headquarters. He was punched in the face by someone. Shameless. Twisting his neck, Aokiji loosened his muscles and bones a little, but his face still had a dull pain, which made him extremely depressed. With our current strength, unexpectedly, it is still inevitable to be killed in seconds. This made Aokiji deeply suspicious. My Admiral, isn't it fake? If you don't move, you will be instantly killed. Could it be possible? I really bought my position in Admiral with Barry. After complaining in my heart, only then did Aokiji raise his head, and with a pair of eyes full of resentment, he looked at the burly figure in the uniform of Justice, Marine hundreds of meters away. In fact, after receiving this punch for real, it was hard to know who was coming. Although he was very shocked, he couldn't understand why the other party would appear here, and he would mercilessly give him an iron fist as soon as he made a move. But Aokiji can be 100% sure. Look out to see. Being able to punch himself in seconds with bare hands. There is only that terrible existence left. Aokiji is still very confident in his own strength. But today, he was killed by one punch. This made Aokiji couldn't help but doubt life. But after thinking about it, it was that terrifying existence that instantly killed him, and the pheasant felt relieved. Anyway, back then, it wasn't once or twice that he was hit by this iron fist. But speaking, this should be the first time I've been hammered by this familiar iron fist since I became admiral. It was all hammered at vice admiral before. Now that I'm admiral, this old man doesn't know how to save me some face. He still punched me mercilessly, sealing off the space where I can hide, and killing me with one punch. Aokiji rubbed his nose, feeling the stinging pain, and felt even more resentful in his heart. Yes, it's not the first time Aokiji has been hammered by this iron fist. Even he himself forgot how many times he was blasted. But that's all in the past. Forget the past. When I was vice admiral, I was often hit by this iron fist. But after becoming admiral, this is the first time for Aokiji to feel this familiar and long-lost iron fist again. The key is, this punch was so merciless, it hit the face directly. This is what made Aokiji feel deeply depressed and defamed. Haven't heard of it? Don't hit people in the face. Advertisement. Furthermore, I am dignified Admiral of Headquarters, I still need to show some face. Result. Good guy. With a punch, he hammered directly at the face. My admiral image is gone. Aokiji could feel it very keenly. Those little fellows of CP9 always look at themselves a little weirdly. It's over. Admiral's image is ruined. The image that I worked so hard on. Just like that, all of them were wiped out by this iron fist. The image of painstaking efforts is in vain. I must ask for an explanation. Aokiji thought seriously. Immediately, he patted the dusty clothes on his body, stepped forward, and walked step by step to the area where he was standing in front of him. There, a burly figure was standing there. One, enough to give Aokiji a strong sense of oppression. This is also after Aokiji became the Admiral of Headquarters. The only one who can still give Aokiji a sense of oppression. This is the only case. No second example, perhaps. It is precisely because Aokiji was hammered too many times back then, which caused a psychological shadow in his heart, so whenever he met this familiar burly figure, he would feel a little guilty from the bottom of his heart. The footsteps came to a sudden stop. Aokiji raised his head and looked at the burly figure in front of him speechlessly. Mr. Garp, can't you give me some face for this Marine Admiral? Nature. Standing in front of Aokiji, that is, the burly figure who appeared out of thin air just now and killed Aokiji with one punch at an extremely fast speed, is the current Marine hero, Monkey D Garp. After receiving the iron fist, Aokiji immediately guessed who the comer was. Look out to see. Ever since he became the Admiral of Headquarters, there was only one person left who could kill him with a single punch with his bare hands. No need to think. Aokiji thought of the comer right then and there. It's just that Aokiji can't figure it out and is deeply puzzled by the fact that. Why did Garp give himself an iron fist when he came? This is so unreasonable. If you have something to say, can't you? Do you have to fight and kill? This shows outsiders that the conflicts within Marine have intensified. We have always been reasonable people, and we don't like fighting to solve problems at all. What the hell happened? Is it? As a result, Garp suddenly chose to strike so angrily, and slammed down with an iron fist mercilessly. This is totally unreasonable rhythm. And, we are the dignified Admiral of Headquarters, representing the face of the entire Marine outside. Not only represents the highest combat power of Marine, but also is the spokesperson of Marine. Doing it to Admiral means doing it to Marine. But Vice Admiral Garp actually said to do it. And punched himself in the face. Where does this put my face? Where will Marine's face go? No matter what, wherever you hit, don't hit your face. This can be regarded as a hard punch to Marine's face. Let outsiders see it, maybe you will really recognize it. Inside Marine, there are some violent conflicts going on. What is the system? It can be seen from this. The resentment in Aokiji's heart at this moment is not as deep as usual. However, before Aokiji questioned, the burly figure beside Layfon, namely Garp, had already started pointing at Aokiji angrily, roaring loudly. Aokiji kid, what did you want to do to my grandson just now? This roar made Aokiji's ears buzz. Aokiji was stunned on the spot. What the hell? Your grandson? When will I? Wait a minute. Not quite right. This moment. Aokiji's eyes widened and rounded, ignoring the tingling sensation on his face. He stared blankly at Layfon standing beside Garp. His throat was dry, and he couldn't help blurting out his mouth. What? This monster is your grandson, Vice Admiral Garp. Advertisement Chapter 111 compared with identity and background. We were never afraid. Open black lens bracket 2/10 for customization close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Hallucinations. Do not hallucinations. Just now, what did I hear? Aokiji was dumbfounded. His eyes widened, ignoring the dull pain in his face, he stared in shock at Layfon who was standing beside Garp at the moment. Eyes, can't move. Aokiji's mood was like the surging sea waves coming from a storm, and the waves were surging and crashing one after another, completely unable to calm down. He was so shocked. Rao, with the majestic Admiral of Headquarters psychological quality, Aokiji can't accept and imagine what Garp is saying now. Shock the world. Incredible. Garp, when did you have another grandson? This was something Aokiji didn't expect. His whole head and thinking became blank, his face was dazed and shocked, and his body was frozen in place. Grandson. Emotion. This monster who is only 6 or 7 years old, but is penultimate in swordsmanship, and has already mastered Marine 6 styles, is actually Vice Admiral Garp, your grandson. The strong sense of impact washed away Aokiji's mental capacity. His perception has collapsed. In the past, it has never been heard that Vice Admiral has a second grandson. This is so unscientific. Vice Admiral Garp, your grandson, isn't that the guy in the straw hat? Why did another grandson of the monster suddenly appear? No matter in terms of talent or strength, he was so terrifying, almost terrifying to the point of impeccable grandson. Aokiji couldn't figure it out. His thinking also became a mess. All of this subverted his previous cognition. He has known Garp for many years, but he has never heard that Garp has such a young grandson. It's as if it popped out of nowhere. Vice Admiral Garp, are you kidding me? Aokiji's throat was dry and he couldn't help opening his mouth. He still couldn't imagine what Garp said just now. Do you think the old man seems to be joking? Garp was furious and glared at Aokiji. This guy, he actually tried to do something to him while he was not around. Simply hate 660. Such behavior is despicable. If Kebi and Belumbo hadn't come to tell him that Layfon was very likely to encounter trouble, he would have been kept in the dark. The result came. Just saw this guy, Aokiji, trying to move his tail. Intolerable. Then, at that time, Garp shot angrily, and mercilessly hit Aokiji's face with a punch. Thus, Aokiji was punched on the spot. This punch, in Garp's view, was still light. Garp is angry, wishing to beat Aokiji directly. Dare to do something to your grandson. What audacity. His grandson is his heir. A most outstanding, perfect and impeccable successor. Can be a seed player of Admiral of Headquarters anytime in the future. How can we tolerate Aokiji being oppressed here? Marine Admiral. So what? Is the Marine Admiral of the old man hammer still missing? Garp looked angry, and he didn't feel that he was wronged at all. Instead, he felt that Aokiji's hammer was too light, and he should have used more ruthless methods just now. Grunt. Aokiji swallowed, his eyes widened and he looked at Layfon in front of him. He was stunned. Really the grandson of Vice Admiral Garp? Why in the past, I never knew it. The news came so suddenly that Aokiji's head was a little dizzy. Is that Vice Admiral Garp your grandson? Aokiji took a deep breath, feeling wildly shocked. Fake exchange. Single pass of blood. Advertisement. Garp patted Layfon on the shoulder and introduced with pride. The old man's grandson is the hope of the monkey family. A future Marine Admiral. Do not. More precisely. He is a genius who can become Marine Admiral in the future without 10 years. Not right. It's a scary monster. This description is more appropriate. The old man has many grandchildren, but only the kid Layfon is the most comforting old man. A template for a future admiral. It is my grandson. In the next 10 years, it will become admiral. Even. It doesn't take 10 years. After seeing Layfon's terrifying talent, learning ability, and cultivation speed, Garp became more and more convinced. My grandson is the future headquarters admiral. No change. And, with the horror talent Layfon is currently displaying, having Garp can seriously shorten that time. 10 years. Unnecessary. In the next 8 years, my grandson will become Marine Admiral. Such a terrifying talent. Unquestionable. Undeniable. Brother, is this your confidence? Why didn't you say it earlier? Aokiji looked at Layfon, feeling a little speechless and depressed. If I said it earlier, of course I would not dare to do it. But this guy didn't say a word. I hurt myself. I got this iron fist in vain. It's so uncomfortable. Aokiji thought sadly. If he had known earlier, he would certainly not be able to deal with Lei Dong. Aokiji Admiral, even if I tell you, are you sure you will believe it? The smile on Layfon's face was intriguing. Aokiji was momentarily speechless. Really, he really might not believe Layfon's words. After all this is too unbelievable. He didn't even know when Vice Admiral Garp had a grandson again. If the words hadn't come from Garp's mouth, of course Aokiji couldn't help but be suspicious. If Layfon had really said it at the time, maybe Aokiji would have become furious and beat Layfon up. Okay, I admit it. Aokiji rubbed his painful face, and sighed helplessly. Meeting this grandpa and grandson, I consider myself unlucky. There is no justice for this punch. After all, it was me who shot Feng. Otherwise, Garp naturally wouldn't attack fiercely and give himself an iron fist. Speaking of which, Aokiji Admiral, this is your fault. The guys from CP9 are trying to lure me into this ruined place, and want to start besieging me. Unfortunately, their strength is too weak. In the case of a group siege, they are all killed by my counter-killing group. I have already defeated CP9, Aokiji Admiral, you just showed up, and directly stopped my next group of destroying them. Does this count as seriously affecting my victory? If today, I am not strong enough, then the person who was killed was not them, but me. It's fair, they want to kill me, but I will kill them instead, isn't that considered overbearing? Layfon narrowed his eyes slightly. This battle, I won. But helpless. Aokiji intervenes and stops the fight. This is why these guys from CP9 have survived until now, and have not died under the blade of Layfon. If it wasn't for Aokiji's intervention, no matter whether it was Lucci or Kaku, they would have undoubtedly died and turned into cold corpses. A battle that should have ended in a perfect victory was spoiled by Aokiji. Layfon's mood is naturally very unhappy. If it wasn't for my strength today, I would be the one who died. Pity. The strength of CP9 is much inferior to that of Layfon. Since they lost at CP9, taking their lives as spoils of war, isn't it a matter of reason and reason? Cough cough. Advertisement. Aokiji felt wronged, coughed dryly, and couldn't help advising, brother, you are still too young. Some forces, it's better not to provoke them as much as possible. I stopped you, actually for your own good. Do you know whose position they represent? If you really wipe them out today, you will be in great trouble. Generally speaking, I stopped your actions, which is of great benefit to you. Whose position does CP9 represent? Naturally, world government. As Aokiji said, if Layfon really wiped them out today, this matter will become more complicated and troublesome, and more people will be involved. Aokiji kid, don't do this. Garp glared at Aokiji, and retorted mercilessly, what a big trouble. I really want to see, even if my grandson kills this little CP9 today, what kind of trouble will there be? You let these troubles come to the old man and try. Want to touch the old man's grandson? There is no way. CP9. You ask someone from their immediate boss, the CPO, to come over and have a try. Look at the old man, whether they dare to harm the old man's grandson. Garp's hockey remarks, unabashed, straight to the point. Trouble. Garp never takes trouble, not to mention. The other party also tried to threaten his grandson. This is absolutely intolerable to Garp. Immediately. Aokiji couldn't refute. By contrast, really, the background of CP9 inches seems to have become a bit unremarkable. At best, CP9 only represents one of the organizations under the command of the world government. Even if it is destroyed, it will not really attract the attention of some people above. After all, in this matter, the marine hero Garp is also involved. Garp's status, even in the eyes of the people above, is very important. Compared with CP9, the weight of Katie is obviously infinitely smaller. Even if CP9 is wiped out today, the people above will never take the risk of offending Garp and send people to attack Layfon. On this point, Aokiji can be 100% sure. Garp's status is too important in the eyes of those above. Otherwise, hero, how did you get the title of this word? Without comparison, CP9 certainly looks extraordinarily detached. But if compared with Garp, if this small CP9 organization is destroyed, it will be destroyed as well. Who dares to say a word? Not to mention CP9, even CPO, you have to bow your head in front of Garp. The difference in identity is really too big. In Marine, only Garp is the most special exception. The word, hero, represents many meanings. It also represents. The war many years ago was enough to affect the world structure. And that war, relying on Garp, finally turned things around. Otherwise, today's world structure may not be as calm as the current surface. In short, on the Marine side back then, only Garp was alone, relying on his own strength to forcibly turn things around, and this respected the basic pattern of the current sea. One can imagine, how much credit did Garp have for that year? CP9. What kind of onions are they? Compared with Garp. Joke. Just relying on them, they deserve to be compared with Garp. The levels of the two are completely different at all. Vice Admiral Garp, you are always. Aokiji was speechless. At this time, when seeing Aokiji deflated, Layfon had a weird expression on his face. I heard that you plan to use CP9's backstage to suppress me. I'm so sorry. Then identity background. In this regard, we have never been afraid. Advertisement Chapter 1121 Thought can determine the life and death of CP9. Open black lens bracket 3/10 for customization close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Who is behind CP9? World government. But, can CP9 really represent this behemoth of the sea? Of course not. The energy and influence of Garp alone are much higher than the entire organization of CP9 combined. Today, even if Layfon really destroys CP9, it will definitely not cause too many follow-up troubles. Because, he is Garp's grandson. This layer of identity is placed here, who dares to have an opinion? CP9. If it is destroyed, it will be destroyed, who would dare I will trouble Feng? Feel sorry. With my background, I can do whatever I want. Layfon looked at the deflated Aokiji with a smile. Facing Garp's rhetoric, Aokiji was speechless for a while. Vice Admiral Garp, this is a misunderstanding, you better stop adding it. Aokiji sighed helplessly. They didn't know in advance that this little brother is your old grandson, so they acted more recklessly. If they had known earlier that this was your grandson, even if they were given 10,000 guts, they wouldn't dare to make a big move against your grandson. FFLX. This is really a misunderstanding, a huge misunderstanding. Furthermore, in this collision, your grandson was also unscathed. The relationship between our Marine and the CP organization has always been unclear. This time, let's go around them once, how about? Aokiji had to be a good old man to ease the conflict between the two parties. Otherwise, he is really worried. Layfon will immediately destroy the entire CP9 on impulse. With Garp here, Aokiji isn't really sure he can stop Layfon. Aokiji was still impressed by the hard iron fist he gave Garp just now, and his face was still aching, but he was not sure how to block Garp. As for Layfon in front of Garp, Aokiji has experienced the consequences of doing so. Personal experience. Then, Aokiji's face was red and swollen, the bridge of his nose was hammered off, and his nose was bleeding. Of course, Aokiji knows the main task of CP9 in the capital of Seven Waters. It is precisely because of understanding that he prevented Chong from destroying CP9. Once CP9 is really destroyed here, the mission will naturally end in failure. At that time, troublesome things will come one after another. Why cause trouble when it could have been avoided earlier? Layfon boy, what do you think? After listening to Aokiji's words, Garp turned his head and looked at Layfon beside him. Do you want to spare this group of CP9s? Garp wanted to hear what Layfon had to say. If Layfon disagrees, Garp will naturally not accept Aokiji's proposal. It can be seen from this. Garp attaches more importance to Layfon than the other two grandsons who are not up to the mark. In Garp's eyes, Layfon is the only heir, a perfect and impeccable successor. Hearing Garp's question, Layfon narrowed his eyes slightly, and glanced at Lu Chi and the others who were lying trembling on the edge of the corner not far away, looking very embarrassed. So, are you going to kill them? Layfon couldn't help thinking. CP9 is too miserable. This is the first time in this life that the CP9 organization has shown such a miserable posture. Being alone by Layfon, with his own strength, he was easily wiped out. Up until now, it is not yet possible to calculate how many people died. But CP9 can be said to be already scarred. Otonashi Fukuro was killed in seconds. Jabra lives or dies. Kumadori is also alive and dead. Bluno lay dying on the ground. Lu Chi and Kaku were also seriously injured and unable to move. The only one left, Khalifa with a certain degree of fighting power, was also paralyzed and trembling on the ground with weak legs, and his body and mind were fully dominated by fear. Advertisement. CP9 has already been completely smashed. If it wasn't for Aokiji's sudden intervention in the battlefield, everyone in CP9 would undoubtedly be reduced to Layfon's dead souls at this moment, and become cold corpses on the ground. Even if they all went out, they couldn't do anything to Layfon. One can imagine how big is the difference in strength between the two sides. At this time, one thought of Layfon can decide the life and death of CP9. Even if Admiral of Headquarters Aokiji stood in front of him, he couldn't change Layfon's decision, let alone stop him. Because, beside Layfon, stands Garp. With the backing of Garp, how could Aokiji dare to act rashly? That is to say, whether CP9 will die, at this moment, depends on whether Layfon really wants to kill them. The trend and development of the situation surprised Layfon himself. I can't think of it. With a single thought, I can actually control the survival and demise of a CP organization. This is the CP organization. Although only the worst CP9. But the status of this organization is also extraordinary. At least, far above the ordinary Marine branch. In the past, they were all members of the CP9 organization arbitrarily dominating the life and death of others. Never thought about it. One day, it will be their turn for CP9 to be dominated by others for life and death. Really, feng shui turns. No one can guarantee that they can stand high on the top of the highest pyramid. Just like CP9, it is facing a very serious and desperate situation at this moment. Of course, they never dreamed that their life and death would be controlled by a 6 or 7-year-old child, just in the other's thought. It's such a wonderful feeling to have someone backing you up. A smile crept across Layfon's face. If it wasn't for Garp's arrival, Layfon doesn't think that he can easily decide the life and death of CP9 as he is now. Presumably, if it wasn't for Garp, Aokiji would have taken himself down long ago. How is it possible to give myself the power to decide CP9's life and death here? So, strength is the foundation of everything. Garp is strong enough to give Layfon the power to dominate CP9's life and death now. Still strong. If I'm strong enough, I don't even need the old man to show up, I can do the feat I'm doing now. One day, I don't need the support of the old man, just relying on myself, I can also dominate the life and death of AC organization. Layfon's eyes twinkled, and his heart was filled with confidence. If you don't even have this confidence, then you really feel ashamed of yourself as a hacker. Do not forget, we are existences with cheats. If you can't even do such a small thing, what are you talking about? That is simply a waste of resources. It's a waste of this identity of opening up. You must never have imagined. Now your life and death are back in my hands. Layfon looked at Lu Chi and the others with a playful smile. Admiral is here, so what? We are not nobodies. Backed by old man Garp. Do we need to worry too much when we do things? Non-existent. Even if Admiral of Headquarters Aokiji is standing beside him, it can't affect Layfon's next decision at all. With Garp around, worry about Aokiji. What a joke. Atmosphere. Suddenly it gets weird. Beside. Aokiji also looked at Layfon helplessly. He was about to speak, but Garp next to Layfon gave him a vicious look, making Aokiji swallow all his words. Advertisement. Originally, he wanted to advise Layfon, but seeing Garp's expression, Aokiji had to swallow all the words and stop making too many remarks. Forget it, never mind. Ask for flowers. CP9. It depends on your own good fortune. What I can help is already here. Besides, I have helped you enough today. If it weren't for me, you would have been easily wiped out by this kid alone. And my existence has helped you to delay for a little time. In the final analysis, you are still too weak, who can blame this? Plus, whoever told you to offend anyone is not good, but you offended the grandson of this little old man. Moreover, He is such an excellent grandson. If it were me, I would also not allow others to threaten my grandson. You guys, just ask for your own blessings. Anyway, there is nothing I can do. Aokiji thought a lot in his mind. I have to admit, Layfon is really good. Aokiji still has some emotions. Such an excellent Layfon turned out to be Garp's successor, or Garp's grandson. This news undoubtedly made Aokiji's mood still unable to completely calm down. All of this subverts Aokiji's cognition. Garp has a grandson out of nowhere. And the scariest thing is, this grandson seems to be very scary. Whether it is talent or strength, these aspects are impeccable. I want to have such an outstanding grandson, of course I must protect it well. Aokiji suddenly understood why Garp shot at him so angrily. Layfon is outstanding. Thereby, let Garp pay special attention to him as his heir, and naturally he does not allow anyone to be unfavorable to his heir. On this point, Aokiji can express his understanding. CP9, CP9, you really have eaten the heart of a bear and the guts of a leopard. Provoked such a terrifying existence. Not only is the strength and talent extremely terrifying. Even your identity and background are enough to crush you to death. What are you guys thinking? How dare you mess with these guys? Even me, I dare not mess with this kind of existence, you guys are really daring. You guys who have become CP9 really think you can be lawless, don't you? Years of unscrupulous behavior make you think you are the king of the sea. This time, it will allow you to have a long memory. If you provoke someone you shouldn't, you will have to bear the painful consequences and fate. As for me, anyway, I have done my best to you, and there is nothing I can do to help you. Aokiji couldn't help complaining in his heart. These guys from CP9 are going to die, they have nothing to do with themselves. Of course I will not take the initiative to offend Garp for CP9. This is simply the most stupid behavior. If CP9 caused the disaster by himself, he should bear it himself. Isn't this a matter of course? As for whether you will be wiped out today, that depends on. Thinking of this, Aokiji suddenly looked at Layfon who was standing beside Garp. Whether CP9 will perish depends only on Layfon's thought. This made Aokiji couldn't help but sigh with emotion. It's really impermanent. In most places, the CP9 organization is capable of doing whatever it wants, but today, it has suffered such a fate that it is about to be wiped out. Even the qualification to survive in the end depends on the mood of others. Everything is in the palm of a child who is only 6 or 7 years old. In a moment, it can decide the life and death of the CP9 organization. To know, this is CP9, an organization and power group that makes countless people and forces in the sea fearful. So, who can imagine? It is such a terrifying power group organization, but today it is faced with the humble situation of being dominated by a child who is only 6 or 7 years old and can dominate life and death at any time. If it gets out, who will believe it? The lives of all members of CP9 are in the hands of a 6 or 7-year-old child. All of this has developed in an unbelievable way. Advertisement Chapter 113. Too big. Can't afford to provoke. Open black lens bracket 4/10 for customization close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Not good. Very bad. Noticing Layfon's weird eyes, lying on the edge of a dark corner, the facial expressions of Lucci, Kaku, and Khalifa changed wildly. Suddenly only feeling a deep malice spread from Layfon's body. Cold. The biting coldness swept across Lucci and his body, making their backs feel cold. Goosebumps popped up all over their bodies, and their hairs shivered. It's over. It's over. Khalifa's pink lips moved slightly, and her pretty face was full of shock and fear. If I heard correctly just now, we seem to have offended a terrifying existence with a real identity. Garp's roar and roar just now did not conceal it at all. Therefore, they are located not far away, so they can naturally hear them very clearly. So they have also deeply understood how severe their situation is at the moment. A deeper understanding. How much trouble have they caused? Grandson of the hero Garp. Layfon, he, is actually the grandson of the hero Garp. Lucci's throat was dry and he was shivering. Really? The development of the matter went in the direction he least wanted to see. The previous speculation was actually verified. So spooky. 833, a 6 or 7-year-old child, is actually Garp's grandson. Previously, they have never received such information. We have circled a hero 3rd generation. Kaku's voice trembled, his expression frightened. Not 2nd generation, it's 3rd generation, all in all. This wave, they feel that they are going to be cold. Inadvertently, he actually provoked such a prominent boss. That's the grandson of the hero Garp. In comparison, what is their CP9? If you have to use it for comparison, they are not even worthy of supporting each other. No wonder. This 6 or 7-year-old child has such terrifying talent and strength. I should have guessed it a long time ago. His blood status is definitely not simple. How could I have imagined that he is Garp's grandson? Grandson of the hero Garp. Lucci's thinking became confused and he was in a state of panic. It's over. This time it's really over. To have provoked such an existence with a great background. Panic, shock, unbelievable, many emotions entangled in the hearts of Lucci and Kaku, making their bodies tremble uncontrollably, and their bodies and minds were dominated by fear. Who is Garp? That's the most famous boss in Marine. Hero Garp. It is equivalent to One Piece in the eyes of pirates. And what they provoked by CP9 this time was actually the grandson of this top boss. Thinking of this, Lucci and the others were terrified and lost all hope. Those guys from the News Intelligence Network, what do they do? Such important news, why has the partition been never revealed before? If I had known earlier that this man has a powerful background, even if I had 10,000 courage, I wouldn't dare to order him to be besieged and killed lightly. Lu Chi felt sad and indignant. The News Intelligence Network misunderstood me. If the news and intelligence can be more comprehensive. Advertisement. He wouldn't be able to besiege and kill such a monster with a huge background today. This is just great. People who shouldn't be provoked, all provoked by them. Not only are their entire CP9 people combined, they are completely invincible to each other, and they even compete with each other in the background and backstage, and they are easily crushed and hammered by the opponent. Can't beat the strength, can't beat the background. What can this do for them? I thought that the appearance of the Admiral of Headquarters gave them a glimmer of life so that CP9 would not be destroyed today. Never thought. Now, Marine Admiral, are of no use anymore. Here comes a more terrifying existence than the Marine Admiral identity. Marine's top gangster hero Garp. Although in terms of official titles, there is a huge difference between a vice admiral and an admiral. But in fact, if we really compare status and influence, let alone one Admiral of Headquarters, even 3 Admirals of Headquarters add up to be as tall as 10 hero Garps. And today, what they CP9 provoked was the grandson of this terrifying existence. After thinking about it in such detail, they finally realized it deeply. This moment, what a mistake they made. This mistake will directly subvert their entire CP9. I can't even fight, all surrounded and killed, or easily wiped out by the opponent alone. Now, let's compare the identity and background. Our entire CP9 combined is not as important as another hero, Garp's task is more important. This time, even the immortals will not be saved. Lu Chi and the others were completely desperate. There is no longer any hope. It doesn't matter if you lose, the key is that their backgrounds are not as important as other people's backgrounds. Nature. What hope is there for this? In other words, there is only one possibility for the fate we need to meet now. That is, waiting for the trial of that monster. Our life and death are in the palm of his hand. With a single thought, he can decide whether our CP can survive in this world. Lu Chi shook his head bitterly and sighed. He couldn't even dream of it. The CP9 organization, which has made countless factions and groups in the sea fearful, will one day face the desperate situation of life and death in the hands of only one person. A child who is only 6 or 7 years old controls their life and death. Their lives are in the hands of each other. A little careless. They will be lost forever. Whoever comes, can't save them. This is the monstrous calamity and trouble caused by their CP9. Even the Admiral of Headquarters is powerless to revolving heaven, and can only watch the result appear without intervention. Will we survive? It depends on whether that monster wants to let us survive. Kaku sighed with a look of lovelessness. He was ready to face death. It's too tragic. This day, CP9 is facing an unprecedented tragic defeat and desperation. We are CP9. Khalifa's pink lips moved slightly, her voice trembling. But helpless. What about CP9? No wonder, the person they provoked this time is really too big. They're totally irresistible, but abruptly, he was provoked by them. It can only be said that fate is impermanent. Advertisement. They who have always been in charge of judging the lives of others will one day face the same situation. This can be said to be a turn of events, and no one can escape the shackles of fate. In the eyes of many people, CP9 has a particularly detached status. Compared with the Marine branch, the status is naturally much higher. It is precisely because of this. Lu Chi, Kaku, and Khalifa have developed an arrogant character that they are defiant and don't take Marine seriously at all. Never thought. This day, finally, it was their turn to be judged. I saw Lu Chi and others lying in the corner with ashen faces. Aokiji, who is Marine Admiral, shook his head helplessly. Why did you go early? What can I do if I offend someone I shouldn't? Wait to die. Do you really think that CP9 can act unscrupulously? What a joke. There will always be someone with a higher status than them. This is not. Show up now. They also took the initiative to provoke, and their status and background far surpassed their only existence. This is not suicidal, what is it? Little CP9 inches dare to mess with Garp's grandson. It's like hitting an egg against a rock. In the eyes of ordinary people, the noble CP9 holds the power to kill and kill. But in front of a Marine boss like Garp, that's a fart. The identity backgrounds and levels of the two are completely different. The gap is too far, too far. Simply put, even if Garp raises his hand, he can crush a group of small characters like CP9. Self-inflicted. I can't live. Aokiji shook his head, without much emotional ups and downs. He did his best anyway. How is the result? Then he wouldn't be in the mood to deal with it. Those guys like CP9 are going to die when they die, and he can't help these guys out of shame. But, I turned my gaze. When Aokiji looked at Layfon, his eyes still looked a little weird and full of emotion. Is the bloodline of this family really so terrifying? I remember the son of Vice Admiral Garp, who was taboo, with terrifying strength, and extraordinary methods. Now, even the grandson is so scary. 17. At the age of 1.4 years old, he has such a superb penultimate swordsmanship attainment, and a grandmaster can master Marine 6 styles proficiently. This also prevents others from living. Thinking of Layfon's terrifying strength, coupled with such a young age. They are all well known in the sea, and their prestige is outstanding. And it's Layfon's turn, This kid himself, only 7 years old this year, has already mastered a very penultimate swordsmanship attainment, and also Grandmaster Marine 6 styles. If nothing else happens, give Layfon a few more years to grow up. In time, with this kid's terrifying talent, he will definitely become a top monster in the sea. Dad, the most vicious taboo criminal in the sea. What is the situation? All kinds of thoughts floated in his mind, all of which made Aokiji unable to imagine. All of this opened Aokiji's eyes. Grandpa, it's marine hero Garp. It turns out that in this sea, there really exists such a terrifying genius monster that cannot be explained by common sense. TTT. Every generation is so scary. Aokiji's shock was still hard to calm down. It can be called heaven-defying luck. This unique luck is too exaggerated. This family, it also gave him a real insight. Advertisement Chapter 114 Geniuses are really incomprehensible species. Open black lens bracket 5/10 for customization close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Aokiji was predictable. With the terrifying talent of this monster, Layfon, perhaps in a few more years, it will be enough to roam the sea, and be able to roam almost anywhere in the sea without fear of anything. Give it another 5 years. I'm afraid that even Admiral may not be able to suppress it. Of course, Aokiji is well aware of Layfon's terrifying talent. Monkey family, what kind of monster family is this? Everyone in the family is a monster. And this generation Layfon. A monster among monsters. Aokiji couldn't help complaining in his heart. When will we be able to form such a family? Although I don't expect to be compared with the monkey family, but at least I can say that I have a bright face. There was a slight breeze. The temperature here is still extremely cold. The survivors of CP9 trembled, waiting for the final fate to come. Boy, still not sure. Garp glanced at Layfon, right under Aokiji's gaze. I see. Layfon waved his hands, and said with a dull face, forget it, let them go. Finished. Aokiji was a little taken aback. He really didn't expect that Layfon would choose to spare CP9. Very surprised. Originally, Aokiji thought that children are very vengeful, and CP9 will no longer exist today. Never expected. In the end, Layfon did not choose to destroy CP9, which was indeed beyond Aokiji's original expectations. It completely changed his view and sense of Layfon. This kid, why does it make me feel like a child with adult thinking? Is this my illusion? Aokiji looked terrified. He himself was shocked by this thought. What the hell? Why did I suddenly have such weird thoughts? Are you still asleep? But, Layfon's current choice has indeed given Aokiji an illusion. The body of a child who is only 6 or 7 years old seems to be stuffed with the thinking and soul of an adult. He does not have the childishness of any child at all, but looks very mature and stable. What's wrong with me? This must be an illusion. Aokiji shook his head violently, trying to suppress all these absurd thoughts in his head. Finally, Aokiji could only complain in his heart. Knew it. In the monkey family, they are all monsters. King of the monsters, the Layfon of today. This guy, the monster, is a bit outrageous. Not only is his strength terrifying, but even his talent is so rare that Hi can hardly find a second example. In addition, even the thinking and character are not childish at all, but very calm and steady. This left Aokiji completely speechless. Genius. It really is an incomprehensible species. Not to mention, this is still a monster above genius. Total monster. Are you going to spare them? Garp's eyelids twitched. Ching was slightly surprised. He has already made preparations to help Layfon bear all the karmic troubles. Garp will never tolerate provoking his own grandson, no matter what force it is. Even CP9 is no exception. Therefore, Garp has been fully prepared to help the Layfon regiment destroy CP9, and block the trouble and anger from those above. Unexpectedly, in the end, Layfon chose to spare them. This is indeed beyond Garp's original budget. I have gained a lot from this battle. Besides, I also got what I wanted. Their CP9 is already dead and disabled. There is no need to deliberately erase their existence. Appropriately speaking, advertisement. Destroying them is just a superfluous act. To me, it has no substantive effect and meaning. It doesn't matter whether you kill them or not. Layfon waved his hand and spoke very gently. If you don't kill, you are too lazy to move. Garp is quite satisfied with Layfon's answer. But beside, Aokiji was even more depressed. Good guy, emotion. I was set by you from the beginning. Since you don't want to kill them, when you speak up for me, can't you let go and sell me face? Feeling the dull pain coming from the face, and the tingling sensation of the broken bridge of the nose, Aokiji couldn't help taking a breath, feeling more and more helpless. This punch of myself was in vain. But Aokiji doesn't know. If it wasn't for his stop, Layfon would have killed CP9 just now. The behavior that was stopped naturally made Layfon feel a lot of dissatisfaction in his heart. It is precisely because of this. Layfon changed his target at that time, and a fight broke out with Aokiji abruptly. With this cause and effect, it will evolve into the following. Aokiji gets killed with one punch by an angry Garp. My punch is really tragic enough. Punched for no reason. It's still a real angry punch from the old man. Aokiji still harbors resentment. If it wasn't for stopping the monster and trying to wipe out CP9, how could he have fought this monster? And how could he be killed by Garp with one punch? Aokiji felt that he was too miserable. Blame CP9 guys. Who is wrong? He just provoked a monster, plus a monster with a background of great background. This is just great. He suffered a lot and even got himself punched. Aokiji looked at Lu Chi and the others, and something was wrong. Suddenly, Lu Chi and the others only felt chills on their backs, and their hairs shivered. It seems to be completely enveloped and dominated by a thick mass of malice. The three of them are like chicks, waiting to be slaughtered. Their life and death are tightly held in Layfon's hands. These few minutes seem to them as long as centuries. The process of waiting for the fate of the trial is really a great torment. You are saved. Aokiji walked all the way to the side of Lu Chi and the others, and said in a flat tone, only you have the courage to take the initiative to attack and kill the descendants of heroes. It's really daring. Fine. My lord has a lot of them, so I didn't care too much about you. Otherwise, even if you have 100 lives, you have to confess here today. The words just fell. Lu Chi and the others were in a trance and froze in place. What? Just now, what did they hear? They actually got forgiven. That is to say, don't you have to die in this ghost place? Aokiji's words are like spring rain pouring on their loveless bodies, making them feel full of vitality and the dawn of hope is close at hand. They were dumbfounded. The reversal of this matter really made them unexpected. They were already ready to face death, but in the end, the other party actually spared them. What a surprise. We are forgiven. Kaku's throat was dry and his eyes widened. That's it, survived. Khalifa's pink lips moved slightly, her pretty face still looked very pale. Sluggish, consternation, shock, wave after wave of emotions violently fluctuated from their hearts. Lu Chi was also stunned. He thought that this time he would definitely die. Even if you are CP9, it is useless to offend an existence that you can't afford to offend. Things turned around so quietly. They were saved. This, isn't it just a joke? Advertisement. Lu Chi's lips trembled, and his face was a little frightened. He has always been calm, and as the best agent of CP9 in the past 800 years, his mentality is constantly being impacted today. His mentality has actually already collapsed. Lu Chi's mentality has been shattered since the moment he united the entire CP9 to attack, but was still wiped out by a 7-year-old kid. Calm, non-existent. Ever since he was wiped out by the group, Lu Chi could no longer be calm and composed. Instead, his thoughts and mentality had moved towards the state of an ordinary person. Years of training as an agent could not endow Lu Chi with a 100% calm mind. Just like, faced with the current situation, Lu Chi's mentality has already been distorted and collapsed. A 7-year-old boy wiped out the entire CP9. How can Lu Chi accept this? The world view and cognitive view have long since collapsed. And at this very moment, Lu Chi, who was determined to die, suddenly heard it. They CP9 do not have to meet the fate of being destroyed. Lu Chi's mentality changed a little unexpectedly. Excited. These are out of the question. On the contrary, Lu Chi's emotions became somewhat indescribable. Joke. What do you think? Really, do you want to play this kind of joke with you? It's not necessary at all. Why do you think they didn't kill you? Don't you think that others dare not? Do you think they will care about your so-called CP9 identity? You don't even know how terrifying that person's identity and status are. Let's not say you are a little CP9, even if the CPO came in person today, in front of that person, 260 will appear extraordinarily fragile and insignificant. Let go of your thinking and think about it. That one, the reason why I didn't kill you. Just because. Too lazy to do it. Of course, this is my guess. However, it should also be a reason that is very close to the truth. Otherwise, what do you think is the reason? Aokiji continued to explain to Lu Chi. As soon as these words spread, they fell into Lu Chi's ears, and completely shattered the slightest bit of self-esteem left in their hearts. Let Lu Chi and the others wake up. Yes, in front of that person, what is their so-called CP9 status? Even if the CP comes in person, in front of that person, he must not dare to have an arrogant attitude. That person is the founder of today's world structure. But today, what they provoked was the grandson of a boss of this level. Think about it. Lu Chi suddenly felt. They are truly lucky to have survived. We can survive, just because others are too lazy to do it. Lu Chi's eyes were lost, and he felt that his remaining self-esteem was completely trampled and crushed. Kaku and Khalifa were equally dumbfounded, and there was not much difference between Lu Chi's turbulent expressions. The three of them lost their eyes for a while, and their minds were in a trance. Self-esteem was completely crushed. What a ridiculous reason. This reason pierced deeply into their hearts, making them afraid that they would never forget it in this lifetime. What keeps them alive to this day? This moment. They realized it more deeply. They didn't die simply because others were too lazy to do it. But today, this ridiculous reason has become their only life-saving straw, saving their entire CP in Weijing. Hard to imagine. Humble. For many years, they have maintained the honor and pride of being a member of CP9, and at this moment they will no longer exist, nothing left. Just because of. They couldn't even imagine it. They are dignified CP9, and it is the first time that they have experienced such a profound experience of such an extremely humble situation. The so-called CP9 is so humble and insignificant, simple and insignificant. Just ask. Others, too lazy to do it. How humble. Advertisement Chapter 115. Don't mess with the terrifying existence you can't afford. Open black lens bracket 6/10 for customization. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Lu Chi didn't expect it. One day, he would encounter such a humble thing. Self-esteem, completely crushed. As an excellent agent of CP9, and even known as the strongest agent of CP9 in the past 800 years, Lucci has always been proud of it. Never thought about it. Someday. As a member of CP9, Lucci rarely felt humbled and humiliated. Humble. How humble. Emotion. I can still live, just because others are too lazy to kill me. What a shame. It was the first time in Lucci's life that he had encountered such a shameful thing. He was full of frustration, and lay on the edge of the corner with a look of hopelessness, motionless. Remember, in the future, don't try to provoke the terrible existence that you can't afford to provoke. Otherwise, you will not be so lucky next time. This time, you were lucky enough to escape unharmed. But don't think that as CP9 you can do whatever you want. In the sea, there are many people with higher identities and backgrounds than you. In fact, there are countless people who are stronger than you. If you don't have this ability, don't easily provoke some existences that you can't afford. Lucky things like today, you will never meet again next time. If you act recklessly next time, CP9 will be destroyed by you sooner or later. Aokiji took a deep look at Lucci and the others, and warned them earnestly. He believes these guys, after experiencing today's fiasco, will definitely understand something. Looking at the sea, there will be strong people born every day. There are countless powerful monsters in this sea. Their CP9 is actually nothing. For example, today. The entire CP9 was wiped out by a boy who was only 6 or 7 years old. Presumably this experience is enough to make Lucci and his group of CP9 members remember deeply, and it is absolutely impossible to forget the defeat they encountered today in this life. It's too tragic. Lost to a 7-year-old. Who can imagine this? Dignified CP9. The organization and power group formed in secret, each one has been carefully selected, and after many selections, he stands out from thousands of people, and can successfully join CP9. It is such a powerful CP9 organization, who would have imagined that it would be easily wiped out by a 7-year-old child? Have to say, if this news spreads out to Dahai, it will definitely make everyone in Dahai deeply unbelievable. It seems like a dream. Aokiji Admiral, we know. Kaku nodded with a look of despair, his tone full of bitterness. Now he knows. The reason why they survived is for what reason? Because people on the opposite side don't bother to kill them. That is to say, they don't even have the qualifications to let the opponent do it. This made Kaku, who has always been confident, feel a deep sense of frustration. The pride is gone, but at least, survived. This is already a blessing in misfortune. Pipe. Kaku began to comfort himself in his heart. At least if you survived, there is still hope if you survive. And the mission of the capital of Seven Waters is still being carried out, and the plan has not made any major mistakes. If they died here, the plan would naturally be declared a failure. As an excellent agent, the mission is the most important purpose. Too lazy to do it. So, advertisement. We really survived. Although surviving with such a humble attitude is better than being obliterated here. At least, we have recovered a life now. Khalifa Pink lips moved slightly. When she recalled that she was dominated by that terrifying monster just now, she felt panic, trembling, and loyalty from the bottom of her heart. It's okay now, it's still a life back. Before provoking any enemy in the future, you must make sufficient information and intelligence preparations. Avoid such things as today will not happen again. Next time, you won't be so lucky. This time the news and intelligence are not well prepared, thus seriously ignoring the opponent's strength, talent, identity, background, and so on. Khalifa gritted her silver teeth lightly, while feeling fear and apprehension in her heart. She also thought very firmly in her heart. Her thoughts couldn't help but flutter for a while. But who can imagine? This guy is only 7 years old, and he can do it easily, destroying the existence of our entire CP9 organization by himself. He is actually the grandson of Vice Admiral Garp. Really, what flows from the monster's body is the blood of the monster. I'm only 7 years old. It will easily wipe out our CP9. Khalifa still has lingering fears. What happened today is enough to leave a deep impression on her in this life. What went deep into her bones became the biggest nightmare and psychological shadow in her heart. The psychological shadow of fear of being fully dominated by a 7-year-old child. Correct. Almost forgot to tell you one thing. Suddenly, Aokiji slapped his forehead and remembered an important thing. Then, I see. He slowly took out a very unique and exquisite phone bug from his arms. The color of the phone bug is very strange, it is actually a golden color, which is extraordinarily noble and unique. Facial features, etc., are also very obviously different from ordinary phone bugs. At first glance, the visual impact of this golden phone bug seems to exude a sense of nobility. Give it to Spandam for me. As Marine Admiral, I authorize him to use it. Certainly. There is only one chance to use it, let him think about it himself, and choose when to use it. Any consequences caused by him will be borne by himself. Aokiji handed the golden phone bug to Lucci in front of him, and spoke in a flat voice. And many more. This golden phone bug is. Lucci's pupils shrank, and he looked at the golden phone bug with a face full of horror. In his heart, a monstrous huge wave surged. Shock. Exclamation mark. Panic. Many emotions flooded into Lucci's heart. As an excellent agent of CP9, he certainly knows what the golden phone bug that Aokiji handed over is. He also understood it very clearly. This golden phone bug, what a concept it means. Aokiji Admiral, Are you kidding me? Lu Qi's throat was dry and his voice trembled. He briefly ignored the fact that his own humble self-esteem was completely crushed at the moment. Instead, he was deeply shocked by the golden phone bug brought by Aokiji. Beside, even Kaku and Khalifa were shocked at the same time. They stared at the golden phone bug in Aokiji's hand with a look of astonishment, their eyes were dull, full of shock, and they couldn't move their eyes. This, could it be? Khalifa's pink lips parted slightly, her pretty face was pale and bloodless. As you think. This is. Start the golden phone bug of Buster Call. Seeing Lu Qi and the others' complexion changing wildly, Aokiji's expression remained particularly calm, and he took the initiative to give a brief explanation to the three of them. Yes, that's right. Advertisement. The golden phone bug given by Aokiji is the key to activate Buster Call. What is Buster Call? Buster Call, representing one of the supreme orders of the Marine, is responsible for the inhumane blow that burns everything and destroys everything. Instantly. Enough to destroy an island. Let an island be removed from the sky without a sound in an instant. This is the horror of Buster Call. Even within the Marine, most Marines will turn pale when they hear the name of Buster Call. It's so inhumane. Once started, there is no possibility of termination. Until the target is completely destroyed and completely disappears from this sea. Only in this way, the Buster Call is truly over. Buster Call cannot end without destroying the target. Therefore, Buster Call also means, only starts, not terminated. At that time, start Buster Call, there will be 10 warships, 5 vice admirals plus the mission rear admiral, and tens of thousands of elite Marine elite combat forces will participate. It can be seen from this. Once the Buster Call is activated, what a terrifying and devastating blow it will cause. The power to activate such terrible means is in the hands of the 3 admirals of the Marine, and the Marine Marshal Sengoku. Only these 4 have the qualifications to activate the Buster Call. Of course, the eligibility for Buster Call can be transferred from admiral to others. The qualification transfer process is simple. You only need to hand over the golden phone bug to others. In this way, it is equivalent to giving others the power to automatically Buster Call. And now, Aokiji hands the golden phone bug to Lu Qi, who passes it on to Spandam. In other words, Aokiji directly authorizes Spandam to give the other party the authority to start Buster Call. 2. Buster Call. Lu Qi took a deep breath, deeply moved. Sure enough it is. Kaku and Khalifa also looked a little frightened. They stared blankly at the golden phone bug, Hao Jiao, in Lu Qi's hand, their faces were terrified and anxious, and their expressions were full of fear. It's this golden phone bug. Once activated, any target will be removed from this sea. Destroy a place with the fastest speed. Let this place completely disappear from the sea. Such is the horror of Buster Call. Okay, it took me a lot of time and energy to transfer this thing to you. Buster Call. In situ. Remember, this thing is for Spandam. Let this island disappear from the sea in an instant. Otherwise, you will not be able to bear the consequences. Lu Qi stared blankly at the golden phone bug in his hand, feeling extraordinarily uneasy and cautious. If I hadn't forgotten to give this thing to Spandam, I wouldn't have come to this ghost place. I got punched for nothing. Aokiji was very straightforward, turned around and left from the eyes of Lu Qi and others. Finished. Speaking of which, and, watch Aokiji's back. Just in my hands. You can destroy any island machine at any time in an instant. Aokiji couldn't help but rub the face full of tingling, with a depressed expression on his face. Once started, Lu Qi, who was holding the golden phone bug, still looked extraordinarily stunned, unable to recover from the shock and panic. It's the phone bug. Advertisement Chapter 116. Let Khalifa be a personal nanny. Open black lens bracket 7/10 for customization. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Just when Lu Qi, Kaku and the others looked dull and horrified, they were watching the golden phone bug, that is, Buster Call, go to activate the button. Not far apart, Garp and Layfon are discussing a problem very seriously. Boy, I can't be by your side forever. In the future, if you are not sure about things, it's better to be safe first, don't be reckless. If it wasn't for me today, do you think you can really shake this brat Aokiji? He's Marine Admiral. Do you know what Marine Admiral means? The top combat power in the sea. Garp asked earnestly and earnestly. But he was punched by you in seconds. Layfon couldn't help but speak. This is just an exception. Garp froze for a moment, and cursed angrily, if Aokiji, the little brat, didn't attack without defense, plus I attacked suddenly. I really don't have to punch him in seconds. In terms of strength, even if I try my best, I'm only 1 point better than Aokiji, not much better than him. Although these words have elements of modesty, they are also in line with common sense. Garp is strong, but Aokiji is not weak either. Anyway. As the Admiral of Headquarters, how could Aokiji be weak? How can a weak person take up the position of Admiral? Okay, old man, when did you become so verbose? Next time, I don't need you to take action, I'll just take Aokiji down. Layfon said with a big smile. You really don't know the heights of the sky and the depths of the earth. In response, Garp rolled his eyes, disapproving. Take Aokiji. Unless, after a year, 10 years later, Garp believed that with Layfon's level of terrifying talent, the possibility of taking down Aokiji from Admiral was still very high. As for now, of course there is no comparison. Old man, you wait, within 2 years, I will take down Aokiji. When the time comes, you will be watched with your eyes opened. Lay 267 Feng smiled confidently. Unexpectedly. These words just fell. Aokiji had already returned to Garp's side, and happened to hear Layfon's rhetoric. Suddenly Aokiji was a little depressed. Since I am a majestic Admiral of Headquarters, since when did I become a benchmark for others to measure my own strength and progress? It is too humble. Emotion. Is this Admiral fake? Let others use it for comparison. This really made Aokiji very depressed. Good guy. Anyway, I am also an Admiral of Headquarters. Can you show me some face? Let others see that I am a majestic Admiral, but I have become a benchmark for others to measure the progress of my strength. What is the face of me, Admiral? Admiral. What is Admiral? Marine's best combat power. The top combat power of the sea. I'm really sorry, Aokiji Admiral, what I said just now was not to underestimate you. So, don't take it to heart. Layfon looked at Aokiji apologetically. After hearing Layfon's explanation, Aokiji felt a little better. Boy, even if you have a bit of eyesight, you still know that I have to take my face into consideration. Not bad. Eyesight has improved a bit. Who I am? I am Admiral. Give me some face, isn't it too much? But, next second, Layfon then continued on his own. I was just stating a fact, Aokiji Admiral, please don't get me wrong. The words fell. Aokiji was speechless for a moment. Misunderstand. Damn, I really misunderstood just now. I mistakenly thought that you kid has a little eyesight. Advertisement. Now, I have to solemnly take back all those words just now. Not only do you have no eyesight, you are also so arrogant that there is no limit. Are today's young people this crazy? Fine. You are a descendant of heroes, grandson of Vice Admiral Garp, I don't know your level. Surpass yourself in 2 years. What a joke. Give you 5 years, you may not be able to do it. Really thought Marine Admiral was easy. Even considering Layfon's terrifying talent level, Aokiji couldn't help shaking his head. Comparable to Marine Admiral in 5 years. How old will Layfon be by then? 7 years old this year. 5 years later, he will only be 12 years old. 12-year-old Marine Admiral. Thinking of this, Aokiji always felt a little creepy, and goosebumps rose all over his body. Obediently, this seems to be a little too scary. 12-year-old Admiral. Impossible. Aokiji shook his head, forcibly suppressing the absurd thought in his head. The probability is close to 0. That's what Aokiji had in mind. 10 years, there is a possibility. Aokiji looked at Layfon, thinking silently in his heart. 10 years from now, it is very likely to be Marine Admiral. Thinking of this, Aokiji felt much more comfortable. But think about it, still something is not quite right. And many more. How old will Layfon be 10 years later? Seemingly, only 17 years old, so. A 17-year-old Admiral of Headquarters. Thinking of this, Aokiji's mind was once again confused. What a monster. Not to mention, although this matter is a bit scary, when Aokiji thinks of Layfon's terrifying talent, he suddenly feels that the chances of Layfon becoming a Marine Admiral in 10 years' time are quite high. Aokiji was quite impressed by Layfon's talent. For the second person, Aokiji can't guarantee it. But if it was Layfon, with the terrifying talent of this monster, maybe he could really do it. The probability is still very high. Is this going to break Marine's all-time record? This brat is indeed a monster. Aokiji looked at Layfon with a depressed face, unable to speak for a while. I have no common language with monsters. There are many mistakes. Still don't open your mouth to speak. In order not to be attacked by this monster, he continued to use sharp words. Knew it. This moment, Aokiji has a very deep understanding of an old saying. Geniuses are all misfits. And, all nasty guys. At this moment, Aokiji, like a stripped poor man, stood in front of Layfon, a local tyrant, and felt the air of a local tyrant, which made Aokiji look a little humble. Little devil, stop boasting. Garp punched Layfon hard, admonishing him viciously. This is not boasting. Seeing Garp's vicious look, Layfon stopped talking BEFB helplessly and waved his hands. As long as you are happy. Now you can't even tell the truth about your feelings. Forget it. We are not people who can't see the situation clearly. As a hacker with cheats, what happened to surpassing a mere Marine Admiral? Is this too much? In the case of a cheater, if even Admiral can't surpass it, I will open a hammer cheater, and I will just find a piece of tofu and crash it to death. Advertisement. Layfon slandered inwardly. Can't even surpass Admiral. Who is this looking down upon? Look down on me, a resounding hacker. By the way, kid, I'm thinking about it. Anyway, you have to join the Marine in the future, and with your strength, after joining the Marine, it is definitely impossible to start from the grassroots level of the Marine. This is a waste of time. I reckon, based on your strength, if you join Marine, you can immediately obtain the rank of Marine officer. You can independently control a warship, and recruit Marine soldiers to go to sea to perform independent missions. In this way, you have to ensure that someone takes care of your daily life. I won't be by your side all the time. You have to find someone to take good care of you. Garp is thoughtful. With Layfon's strength, if he joins Marine, it is naturally impossible to start from the most basic position of Marine like Kebi and the others. Preliminary conservative estimate. If Layfon joins the Marine, he will at least directly obtain the rank of a Marine ensign officer, can independently control a warship, and recruit subordinates to form a small-scale Marine group. The lowest Marine officer rank is Marine ensign. With the strength of Layfon, it can be said that it is very easy to become a Marine ensign. Plus, and Garp backstage. Layfon wants to be a Marine ensign, it's not difficult at all. Find someone to take care of me. Layfon looked at Garp strangely. Are you sure you didn't find someone to supervise me? Old man, you are unpredictable. That's right. And, it's better for this person to be a woman, so as to ensure that she can take care of all aspects of your life more carefully. Women have an inherent advantage in this regard. I can take into account all aspects of daily life, and I can take care of your daily life more carefully. After all, you are only 7 years old and you really need personal care. Garp nodded earnestly. It can be said that I broke my heart for Layfon. He has already done a lot of preparations to pave the way for Layfon in Marine. Old man, you are not serious, are you? Layfon froze. No way, no way. Old man, have you already thought about this? And let someone take care of your daily life. Preferably a woman. Old man, you are thinking wrong. How old am I? I'm only 7 years old. Are you thinking about this for me? Is it too early to say? What are you thinking, kid? Garp looked at Layfon strangely, and knocked Layfon's forehead hard. I think Vice Admiral Garp has a point. Aokiji was on the sidelines adding fuel to the flames. Isn't it too early to say this now? Layfon looked strange. Have you considered these issues before joining Marine? It is too early. It's not too early. Sooner or later you have to form a Marine warship group of your own. This is called planning for a rainy day, and preparing for the future early. Garp waved his hand. Vice Admiral Garp, since you said so, I have to recommend a candidate for you. It can be said that they are well read and knowledgeable. They understand a lot of knowledge about the sea. What the hell? Considering Vice Admiral Garp, you are looking for a woman to take care of Layfon's daily life. Personally, I suggest that Khalifa from CP9 is the most suitable. Every CP9 agent is an all-around talent. The sound just fell. It is well known. Such as astronomical phenomena, navigation, etc., they have a little knowledge of these things. Although they can't be called grandmasters, they are enough to handle ordinary sailing conditions. He began to introduce popularization to Garp beside him. Every agent of CP9 has been carefully selected from thousands of outstanding talents, and each of them has been taught by countless agents. 17. Raising his head, he looked at Khalifa, who was still a little scared and trembling 100 meters away, opened his mouth, but was unable to speak for a while. Aokiji looked at Khalifa, who was lying shivering in the corner 100 meters away. Turn. A. Very appropriate and suitable candidate. Is this the rhythm for Khalifa to be her personal nanny? She has very rich experience as a secretary for many years, and she is absolutely impeccable in taking care of people's daily life. 11. Look, combined with other advantages in various aspects, I personally think that letting her take care of Layfon is the best candidate I can think of. Layfon's expression became even more astonished. Advertisement Chapter 117 Garp. This granddaughter-in-law is okay. 8/10 for customization. Advertisement. What's going on? Unbelievable. Layfon only felt that he was at a loss. I was so weirdly arranged by someone. Let Khalifa be your own personal nanny. What Garp said is to let someone take care of your daily life. Doesn't it mean that you need to find a nanny for yourself? And a nanny for women. But having said that, why is it Khalifa? At the same time, Aokiji's introduction and explanation just now can't help but linger in Fang's ears. Not to mention, there is nothing wrong with Aokiji's explanation. Khalifa has many years of experience as an agent. As a civilian member of the CP9 organization, he is naturally very knowledgeable, and he has a lot of knowledge about the sea in his mind. Also, she also has many years of secretary experience and knows how to take care of a person and how to do her job well. These, Khalifa seem to be impeccable. As a CP9 agent, Khalifa also possesses many abilities. Observing celestial phenomena, navigation and other aspects, as early as the early stage of training as an agent, she has already had a preliminary and simple understanding of these. Think about it this way. Khalifa is really an all-around talent. As a nanny, this is simply the best choice. Do not. More precisely, every agent of CP9 is an all-around talent. In addition to their superior strength, basically every one of them possesses 18 kinds of martial arts. Of course, their strengths are comparable, in Layfon's eyes. In the eyes of ordinary people, every outstanding agent of the CP9 organization is quite terrifying and extraordinary in strength. So, I was confused, so I was arranged. Layfon still feels clouded. Say something. I'm only 7 years old. Isn't it too early to think about this? Let Khalifa be your personal nanny. This scene, Layfon himself did not dare to imagine. Aokiji, you brat, what you said makes a lot of sense. Unexpectedly, Garp patted Aokiji's shoulder appreciatively. For CP9 agents, Garp certainly has a lot of understanding. Everyone is an all-around talent. This is understandable. Being able to join CP9 inches is a pretty remarkable act in itself. Without enough talent and ability, it is naturally impossible to stand out from thousands of elites and join the CP9 camp smoothly. You too. Layfon looked at Garp and Aokiji speechlessly. Don't mess with the two of you. Just now I was fighting this CP9 to the death. Also beat a member of CP9. There are also several CP9 agents whose life or death is still unknown. Now you let a female agent of CP9 to be my personal nanny. This is the rhythm that puts my life in her hands. A little careless. If she stabs me, I won't be able to stand it. Although, Layfon is deeply confident in his own strength, but he doesn't want to maintain a tense spirit all the time to guard against those around him. Don't worry, as CP9 agents, they only know the mission, and will not get involved in any personal emotions during the mission. What you have done, for them, turn around and they will forget it completely. They know how to behave and how to be an excellent agent. They know more clearly who they can't afford. Aokiji explained to Layfon meaningfully. Obviously. Layfon is the existence that CP9 can't afford. Little ghost, I think she is very suitable. Garp laughed. It's Aokiji, how can we get rid of her identity as a CP organization? This is a bit troublesome. Hearing this, Aokiji shook his head. No trouble at all. As long as I dial the phone bug and contact some people, I can solve these tedious things smoothly. Moreover, let her get rid of the CP organization smoothly and become an ordinary person without identity. In this way, she will not bring any negative influence to your grandson. As a dignified Admiral of Headquarters, this power is obviously still available. Let an agent of the CP organization break away from the CP organization. Advertisement. This kind of trivial matter, of course, cannot trouble Aokiji, the Admiral of Headquarters. It was a breeze. Only a phone bug is needed to solve it perfectly and without any impact. Okay, this is good. Garp's eyes glowed with admiration. Old man, you seem to have been led astray. Layfon couldn't help but complain. What do you know, you kid? You are only 7 years old, how can you command a warship to sail freely? How much do you know about this sea area? You drive a warship out to sea, and no one helps you observe the sky. Do you know how to sail to your destination? This old man is making many follow-up preparations for you. Garp said with a serious face. Okay, as long as you're happy. Layfon couldn't refute for a while. Who made us only 7 years old? 7 years old. What a frustrating age. No human rights. Besides, your time doesn't need to be wasted on these tedious things. I'm looking forward to seeing a new Marine Admiral come out within 10 years. A 17-year-old Admiral of Headquarters. Then I can brag about old Sengoku every day. My grandson is the Admiral, the youngest in the history of Marine. Let's take a good look at this old thing. I'm not incapable of teaching. Garp spoke expectantly. It can be seen from here. Garp has always had a very deep negative impression of the lack of teaching. Sun Long, leader of the Revolutionary Army. Grandson Luffy, ace, 2 pirates. The dignified marine hero Garp, almost all his sons and grandchildren have deviated from the marine path. What does this make others think? Anyway, for this matter, Sengoku will get it on his lips from time to make fun of it. Every time Sengoku mentioned this matter, Garp felt ashamed, and suddenly felt that his old face was completely humiliated. For many reasons, let Garp pin his endless hopes on Layfon. It can be said that high hopes. Garp's emphasis on Layfon has reached a very high level. Compared with the past, they paid much more attention to Luffy and Ace. Layfon fits Garp's perfect conditions for an heir. Do not, even, more than anything, far exceeding Garp's requirements for his heirs. Exposed, old man, you exposed. Is this your real purpose? Feelings, I exist just to attack Admiral. Layfon couldn't help but curse in his heart. He wanted Garp to forget about it. 10 years Admiral, not at all. Even if you spend all your time salting fish, it doesn't take 10 years. For 3 years, Layfon still has this confidence. It must be Admiral within 3 years, and if it is faster, 2 years will be enough. After all, I don't know what a genius is. If I tell you that I don't need to practice at all, my strength will improve by leaps and bounds. Can you believe me? Ask for flowers. Layfon shook his head helplessly. Of course they don't believe it. Being pregnant is such a frustrating thing. Many times, when the truth is told, no one will believe it at all. And Layfon, but cannot make too many reasonable explanations. Is it possible to tell someone? I turned it on. This is obviously impossible. Advertisement. Layfon is not so stupid as to expose his biggest hole card. Okay, kid, all your rebuttals are declared invalid. Garp's tone was very firm, as if there was no room for haggling, and his words were unquestionable. Aokiji kid, contact me immediately. No problem. Aokiji looked at Layfon strangely, and smiled. Children are indeed children. I don't understand the painstaking efforts of Vice Admiral Garp. Is it a matter of taking care of daily living? Obviously not. Just look at me and I'll understand. Vice Admiral Garp, this is the plan to find a granddaughter-in-law for Layfon since he was a child. I understand, of course I understand. Poor parents in the world. Vice Admiral Garp expressed his kindness, but Layfon couldn't react at all. But it's inevitable. 0. After all, it is still small. Only 7 years old. 7 years old, the road of life is paved. It's really enviable. Hateful heroes 3rd generation. Aokiji couldn't help complaining in his heart. The point is, he looked at Layfon's unwilling face, and couldn't help but want to complain in his heart. Layfon kid, when you grow up, you will understand how hard your grandfather, Vice Admiral Garp, treats you today. This is a free daughter-in-law, how can there be such a good thing? Even I am very envious. Plus, Khalifa, what aspect is not good? It can almost be said that they belong to the group of the most outstanding women in the sea. You need appearance, figure, body, knowledge, strength, you have everything. Doesn't this meet the standard of a perfect daughter-in-law in your mind? Layfon, you really don't know your blessings. Do you know that how many people dream of your treatment? How many people want to break their heads, but they can't get such perfect treatment conditions? But you still don't appreciate it. What a waste of all the hard work of Vice Admiral Garp. But it's okay. Does this count as helping you? In a few more years, you'll thank me. Aokiji thought a lot, and took out his phone bug to contact relevant personnel. A CP9 female agent is a wife. Think about it. Aokiji's expression became a little weird. This example is so rare. Nice. My granddaughter-in-law, it's okay. It's not bad, so let's forcefully give it to my grandson as a spare tire. If there is a better one, then I can give it to my grandson as a wife. A wide smile spread across Garp's face. Beside, Layfon watched the change of expression on Garp's face, speechless. Old man, your expression has seriously exposed your inner thoughts at the moment. The key is, I'm only 7 years old. It's too early for you to think. This is just a beast. But, I don't know why. It seems that in the bottom of my heart, there is still a little expectation. Illusion. That's right. This must be an illusion. It's all fake. I'm only 7 years old. So Layfon thought of 2. Advertisement Chapter 118 Poor Khalifa, it's been arranged properly. Open black lens bracket 9/10 for customization close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Soon. After Aokiji dialed the phone bug, he only ordered a few words, then hastily hung up the phone bug. Solved. Garp was a little surprised. This seems to be a bit too fast, right? Could it be that this is the power of a heavenly general? Seeing it made the old man feel a little ready to move. It's really like being an admiral, try to see what it's like to be an admiral. Vice Admiral Garp, it's just a small thing. It has been successfully resolved. Aokiji said with a confident smile. Not to mention, the old man suddenly wants to take an admiral as a taste. Garp couldn't help but speak. Aokiji was speechless. Who are these people? Do you really think that you can be an admiral casually? My grandson thinks so. Even I think so. However, Aokiji really has no way to refute Garp's words. After all, Garp could become the Admiral of Headquarters any time he wanted, there is no doubt about it. How many times have opportunities been placed in front of Garp? Want to be a Marine Admiral? For Garp, this is simply a trivial matter. Thinking of this, the pheasant was even more speechless. This family, what kind of freak, 657, are they? The highest official rank of Marine, and the position of Admiral with the highest combat power. In front of this grandpa and grandson, feelings are just a starting point. A start, instead of ending. What monsters are these two? With Aokiji's thinking ability, they can't keep up with Layfon and Garp's open-minded thinking. Admiral, means a terminal. In other words, the end in the eyes of others. But in front of the grandpa and grandson, it seemed like it was just the beginning. I don't want to communicate with monsters. Aokiji thought sadly. Seeing Layfon, Aokiji's mentality almost collapsed. Grandpa wants to take Admiral casually, but grandson wants to step on Admiral at any time. Monster. Both are outright monsters. Little ghost, you have to thank the old man for paving the way for you. In the future, when you control a warship alone and lead a group of Marines to sea, you don't need to think too much about things. There will be people around you who will advise you and help you think about these cumbersome things. All in all, your goal is to hit Tianka. That's enough. Garp laughed and patted Layfon on the shoulder excitedly. Okay, percent. Z% 1% at. Seeing Garp's excited expression, Layfon suddenly couldn't speak. So far, it seems that I have no choice. Under Garp's oppression, Layfon had to accept that Garp paved the way for himself. But think about it, Layfon also didn't feel that Garp's arrangement was bad. Anyway, Khalifa, still a pretty good hand. And, whether it's appearance or body shape. And many more, I'm afraid I'm going astray. Cough cough. We are not that kind of people. This is the old man going his own way, what can we do? We can only make do. Advertisement. Layfon nodded to himself, with a helpless expression on his face. Khalifa's ability is quite outstanding. The title of all-around talents is not an exaggeration. Every CP9 agent is basically an all-around talent. In terms of strength, they may be lacking, but in other aspects, each of them is an expert. Compared with strength, as agents of CP9, their training in the past obviously paid more attention to other aspects of knowledge. What is the so-called observation of celestial phenomena? Judging the direction of the sea area, how to become an excellent navigator. These, basic CP9 agents will more or less know a little bit. It can be seen from this. Khalifa came to serve as a personal nanny, it seems that it is not too bad. Oh no, it's not the nanny, it's the secretary. Almost to the old man and the others, they were seriously misled. Layfon slapped his forehead in fear, and corrected his distorted thoughts. Ever since. Poor Khalifa, she doesn't know yet. Her fate has already been arranged properly. The current her is not considered a member of CP9 who was directly erased. Therefore, from now on, she can only survive as an ordinary person, and is no longer under the jurisdiction of the CP organization. Aokiji is a phone bug, and with a few short sentences, he easily decides Khalifa's future path. Humble CP9 agent. No human rights. Was easily arranged by Aokiji who was a phone bug. This makes Layfon can't help but sigh with emotion. Knew it. People still have to climb to higher places. Otherwise, others can easily control all their future paths with a simple phone bug. This kind of taste must be very uncomfortable. But can Khalifa change? Of course not. Her status is still too low. Slightly spoken. Her status is too low, causing her words to have no meaning. Fine. With the old man as the backstage backer, I won't be manipulated to death. It's really cool to have a backstage background. An emotional smile appeared on Layfon's face. After this incident, he can understand it better. How comfortable it is to have a backstage. If there is no backstage, Layfon might give Aokiji a blow today. Vice Admiral Garp, Vice Admiral Garp. There was a sound of hurried footsteps not far away. From the dark street not far away, two thin figures came. It was Kebi and Beru Meber, who arrived late, sweating profusely just arrived at the scene. Didn't it mean that you don't have to follow? Garp frowned. Vice Admiral Garp, we are a little concerned. Before Kebi finished speaking, he saw Aokiji. Aokiji Admiral, why are you here? Admiral, this is the Admiral of Headquarters. Kirby certainly didn't expect that. Here, he actually saw an Admiral of Headquarters. The truth is that he was a little unexpected. Vice Admiral Garp, them. Aokiji looked suspicious. Two little guys who just joined the Marine, now I'm taking care of them. Garp gave a brief introduction. I see. Aokiji nodded. Suddenly, he felt a little pain in his own face again. Good guy. This punch was really hard to deal with. The bridge of the nose is designated to be broken. Aokiji couldn't help cursing in his heart, and looked at Garp with a resentful face. Advertisement. Vice Admiral Garp, you are too ruthless. Okay, ready to return to the warship. The capital of the Seven Waters, there is no need to stay any longer. As for the old Sengoku's order, just declare failure and pull down. Just say, I can't beat my grandson, and I can't do the task he gave me. Garp said nonchalantly. Although he didn't meet Luffy, Garp thinks that there will always be a day when we meet again. Layfon represents him, just meet Luffy. As for Sengoku's order. To be frank, Garp never took Sengoku's mission to heart from the start. Anyway, just find a reason to shirk it, and it's over. This is what Garp has always been. Vice Admiral Garp, are you really okay? Kebi and Beru Meber broke into cold sweats. Can't beat. Vice Admiral Garp, can't beat the Straw Hat Pirates. This is too fake. This kind of reason, only Garp dares to say it. Not afraid of Sengoku's wrath. Can these lies really be fooled? Of course not. The reason is too hasty. How strong is Garp? This is basically clear to all Marines. With such terrifying strength, how could they not be able to defeat a fledgling pirate group? What a joke. Fake. Too fake. Tell it, let alone Sengoku doesn't believe it. I'm afraid it is absolutely impossible for a few Marines to believe it. Of course, Sengoku, who is the Marshal of the Marine, cannot be fooled by this false reason. At that time, Sengoku must be furious and yelling. It seems that it is indeed a bit unreasonable. That's fine. I didn't meet the Straw Hat Pirates, so I couldn't talk about arresting them. If I didn't find the target, I had to return to Marineford. This reason, presumably Sengoku can't think of a place to refute it. Garp thought for a moment. Such a blatant fooling of Sengoku seems really unreasonable. Anyway, Sengoku is also a dignified Marine Marshal, so he still has to give him some face. BT. Then it's an excuse that you can't meet the Straw Hat Pirates, right? This. Kebi and others were speechless. This excuse and reason seemed to be barely plausible. Although it is true that 1.3 is false, it is much, much better than the previous reason. The last reason is simply to fool Marine Admiral Sengoku as a 3-year-old child. Beside, Aokiji also seemed a little speechless. You say your own, just pretend that I don't exist. Anyway, I don't have a mission. I won't interfere with your mission. All in all, I didn't hear anything. Anyway, he would not get involved in such tedious and troublesome matters. It's actually quite good to make a salted fish. Aokiji had such thoughts in his heart. It's none of your business. Hang up high. Aokiji didn't want to get involved in these troublesome things, to waste his own salty fish time. Let's go. Leave the capital of Seven Waters. Little devil, don't forget to bring your nanny with you. Garp gave Layfon the last order, and then he led Kebi and Beru Meber to walk away gradually, walking out of the dark street and approaching the port coast of the capital of Seven Waters. Brother, work hard. Aokiji also waved his hand, and stepped forward to follow behind Garp and others. He just returned to Marineford, just in time to carry Garp's warship. In situ, only Layfon is left. So, how do I explain this to her? Layfon thought oddly. Advertisement Chapter 119. Do you really think of CP9 as an institution to train nanny? Open black lens bracket 10 out of 10 for customization close black lens bracket. Advertisement. 10 minutes later. Dark alley. There was a slight breeze. The air temperature here is still very cold. It's freezing cold. The coldness was piercing, and goosebumps rose all over the prisoner's body. Many broken ice blocks were scattered and piled up on the edge of the dilapidated wall corners, placed in a haphazard manner, and many of them had melted into water stains and turned into stagnant water. Looking at the entire street, it is full of holes, and there is no better place to be found. The perforation on the ground is like the root of a tree being uprooted, and the hideous cracks spread hundreds of meters away. There are still many remaining cracks like spider webs, densely packed cracks spread all over the place. Broken. A mess. This is the remaining topography of the entire street after a battle. Wreckage is everywhere. Corner edge. Lucci and Kaku looked dull, lying on the corner of the wall, motionless. Their limbs were weak due to their heavy bodies, and they stared at the end of the street in astonishment. What's going on? Khalifa, pried away. Kaku's throat was dry, his eyes were wide and round, and his heart was full of horror. What the hell is this? He was stunned. Well done, Khalifa was actually stolen like this. Pry out their CP9 organization. Thoroughly. Get rid of the CP organization. Kaku couldn't believe it, the shocking thing happened in front of his eyes just now. It's incredible. Khalifa, who was part of the CP9 organization, was so outrageously poached away by someone, to the Marine side. The development of this matter was a bit like a dream, which made it difficult for Ka-14 to react. So far, his thinking seems a little confused, and it is difficult to calm down. Just now, in their faces, Khalifa was dug away. From their CP organization, they got Marine. Got poached. At that time, this was their first reaction. Who can explain to me? What the hell is going on? Lucci was also confused. He never dreamed that after they were finally defeated in this battle, they did not meet the bad luck of death. But the most outrageous thing is that Khalifa was poached by the foot of the wall. What exactly is going on? His thinking became a mess, unable to sort out, and his mood could not calm down. This is so fake. How could Khalifa be poached? In other words, what did the other party do when they poached Khalifa? There is no reason for this at all. Unscientific. Seriously against common sense. Lucci was in a frenzied mood, staring at the distant street with his eyes wide open. That is exactly where Khalifa left off. Even though it had happened for several minutes, neither he nor Kaku could calm down. So spooky. Never imagined. The last one to lose was actually Khalifa. Khalifa didn't die on the battlefield, but was poached directly. This is what shocked Lucci and Kaku. The atmosphere is weird. Grunt. Kaku rolled his throat and swallowed, but his pupils were still full of horror, and the shocked expression on his face could not be calmed down. All this overturned his cognitive view. It is unimaginable that Khalifa will be poached in the end. To date, they are all a little foggy, and their minds are blank. Advertisement. This is not true, is it? Lucci opened his mouth. The two were dumbfounded. Quite a while. Only then did their mood calm down a little bit, and they reluctantly accepted this horrifying event, which happened so strangely before their eyes. What they witnessed with their own eyes, they had to accept. Although, this matter is indeed too unbelievable. Khalifa broke away from the CP organization and joined Marine, became a member of Marine. No, not right. She didn't join the Marine, but became the monster's secretary, responsible for taking care of the monster's daily life. A dignified CP9 agent actually went to work as a babysitter for others. Kaku shook his head fiercely, his face still looked particularly shocked. All this development has seriously exceeded their original imagination. Even if CP9 is wiped out today, they can still accept it. The only thing is, they were not wiped out by the group, but Khalifa was poached away, and no longer belonged to the jurisdiction of the CP organization. This is the main reason why they are even more shocking. I always feel like things are happening without warning. Suddenly. Baffling. This is their mood at the moment. Khalifa, go babysitting a 7-year-old. Lucci swallowed. No human rights. When are they CP9 organizations? Is it an institution that trains nannies for others? It's just hateful. Lucci was full of aggrieved thoughts. But a thought. The monster they faced just now made him feel a little helpless. Whether it is strength or identity background, their CP9 organizations combined are far inferior to each other. It's only strange. We messed with the wrong guy. If you mess with one, we CP9 can't afford to mess with an existence. Lucci shook his head bitterly and sighed. The two were depressed and in a trance. Yes, if you offend people who shouldn't be offended, they are already extremely lucky to be alive, so how can you expect too much? Have to say, the shocks they encountered today are too many. First, it was easily wiped out by a 7-year-old child with his own strength. It shattered their faith and self-esteem at the time. Then, they suddenly learned again. Feelings, they provoked the grandson of the hero Garp. Once again, it shocked their thinking and made their heads go blank. There was a moment of silence. Lucci and Kaku put aside many thoughts in their minds, propped up their heavy bodies, and tried to use their exhausted bodies to find the surviving CP9 members nearby. At present, the only person who has been confirmed dead is Fukuro. Also, the rest of the staff are still in a state of uncertainty. They cannot be sure that these people are still alive or dead. All in all, dead or alive, they naturally wanted to find the bodies of these people. Live to see people, die to see corpses. This time, RCP-9 really suffered an unprecedented and painful blow. Otonashi Fukuro died. Go a Khalifa. The remaining people are still alive and dead. Lucci looked hopeless. In a word, CP9 is already on the verge of fragmentation. May crash at any time. Although the two members in the loss are not considered the main force of CP9, they can be regarded as having the importance of lifting weights in the CP9 single. Especially Khalifa. Advertisement. Khalifa directly broke away from the CP organization, which made Lucci a little afraid to imagine how their plan should be carried out next. Immediately, Lucci walked to Bluno's side and checked his vital signs a little. Fine. Bluno wasn't dead, just seriously injured. Bluno, Still alive, Lucci pulled Blueno's body out from under the sunken ground, and it took a lot of effort to do these behaviors with difficulty. And it has already consumed more than half of Lucci's strength. Do not forget, Lucci had also been seriously injured long ago. His injury should be the most painful among so many people present. The entire chest was forcibly split open, the sternum was shattered, and the vitality was constantly weakening and declining at a speed visible to the naked eye. The reason why Lucci didn't fall down, apart from his monster-like physical fitness, was his terrifying to the ultimate tenacity of willpower, insisting on keeping his mind clear. Plan, do you still want to implement it? Kaku dragged out Kumadori's body from the rubble. The opponent is not dead, but he is already on the brink of death. Of course, and fast. Hurry up, so that everyone can't react. Since it has been exposed, then go to fix it as quickly as possible. Lucci narrowed his eyes slightly, looking at a certain direction in the corner of the alley. He has never forgotten that there is a group of little mice that have been watching the movement here. And just now, the group of little mice had already left. This also means that their identities have been fully exposed. Plus, Khalifa has left. It also means that if the plan is not implemented as soon as possible, then the long iceberg in the capital of Seven Waters will definitely notice the abnormal situation on Khalifa's side. Lucci never thought that the head of Bingshan was a stupid person. On the contrary, the other party was very smart and cautious, so they couldn't find any chance after 5 or 6 years of lurking. If they don't want the mission to declare failure, then 770 must implement the plan ahead of time at a speed that everyone can't react. In this way, we can ensure that the plan that has been planned for 5 or 6 years will not occur in the worst case. 5 or 6 years of hard work, all in vain. Even though the current situation is already very tragic, Lucci still has enough confidence to ensure that the mission will eventually succeed. You're right, Kaku nodded heavily and agreed. Khalifa is gone. Their identities will eventually be revealed. That being the case, then before it is exposed, let the plan fully unfold at the fastest speed. Next, it took a lot of effort for the two of them to finally drag the remaining people out of the ruins. Start to count the casualties. Lucci let out a heavy breath, his face was exhausted, his face was pale and bloodless, which made his figure look awkward, but also extraordinarily weak. Kaku gritted his teeth and forced himself to become sober. He began to count the results of the battle. Otonashi Fukuro, death. Khalifa, leave. Kumadori, critically injured. Jabra, critically injured. Blueno, seriously injured. At last, in addition to Lucci and Kaku, the two of them were also seriously injured, and their injuries were no less serious than those who fainted from serious injuries. It was only because of their tenacious self-will that they persisted until now and did not faint. Look at it pleasing to the eye. Look at this dilapidated street. I see. 4 seriously wounded CP9 members lying flat, plus the body of Otonashi Fukuro. Lucci and Kaku were also seriously injured. Although they didn't faint, they were exhausted. The status quo of the entire CP9 is as it is currently revealed. Awful. It's too tragic. CP9 encountered an unprecedented painful blow. And lead to. The CP9 organization is already standing on the verge of collapse at any time. 5 people are disabled. A person died. Leave alone. There are a total of 7 CP9 members, but now there are only 5 left, and these 5 are still in critical condition. Advertisement Chapter 120. The next stop, Marineford. Open black lens bracket 1/7 for customization. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. The capital of Seven Waters. As a city on the sea, Seven Waters has attracted countless residents from the islands in the surrounding sea areas, who gather here one after another, and it is very lively almost every day. The streets are full of people coming and going, and it is very lively. The noisy atmosphere lingers above this sea city. Unique buildings are scattered on both sides of the capital of Seven Waters, and the main street in the middle has a series of waterways for people to let sea beasts carry tourists to watch the various streets of the capital of Seven Waters. At the highest point of the capital of Seven Waters, seawater flows down from this place. Rush to the waterways at all angles, and the water in the waterways flows down, which has become a very unique feature of the capital of Seven Waters. Many people can let the sailboat be carried on the waterway, so that they can go directly to the sea along the waterway, and formally set sail to the sea. This feature can be said to be very convenient. At this time, port, coast. As the most famous sea city in the nearby sea area, the capital of Seven Waters has naturally become a place for many merchants to trade. It can also be regarded as 10 prosperous cities with economic and financial centers. There are a large number of merchant ships in the port. Apart from some merchants who rushed to trade in the capital of Seven Waters, there are also many sailboats that were sent to the capital of Seven Waters for repair. Well known. In addition to the economic prosperity of the capital of Seven Waters, the most distinctive feature is the shipbuilders of the capital of Seven Waters. According to legend, there is an old saying. The shipbuilders of the sea have created the capital of Seven Waters. It can be seen from this that the shipbuilding reputation of the capital of Seven Waters is high. That guy over there, hurry up and move this thing to the warehouse. And that one, who wants to be lazy, or else your salary for today will be deducted. The port appears to be very busy and bustling, and the noisy air is full of the quartet. Along the way, Khalifa was a little distraught, her beautiful eyes still looked dull, her pretty face was pale and bloodless, completely dominated by fear and shock. To date, she couldn't even react to the shock. She never dreamed that one day, she would encounter such unimaginable things. All this subverted her inner cognition. I actually got rid of the CP organization. Khalifa expressed that he was very confused, and his thinking became chaotic. She didn't even know when she came to the coast of the port, and she couldn't accept the fact that she was no longer a member of the CP organization. There were bursts of noisy sounds from all around, but they couldn't affect the many thoughts in Khalifa's heart, and the thoughts in her head seemed extraordinarily chaotic. What exactly is going on? Khalifa's pink lips moved slightly, and her big watery eyes wearing glasses were full of confusion and bewilderment. Her pretty face seemed a little dull, but it was still difficult to hide her beautiful and dignified appearance. Temperament beauty Khalifa. This point is not bragging. Khalifa, who is dressed as a CP organization agent, has a tall and graceful figure, wearing glasses and looks very gentle and dignified. The golden hair hangs heavily to the waist. From her body, exudes a capable and heroic spirit like a strong woman, not as weak as ordinary women. It was this temperament that made her more beautiful and dignified. Khalifa, who was holding many puzzled emotions, raised his head and stared blankly at the front with a pair of beautiful eyes, on the back of the young man holding a samurai sword. Can't move my eyes. Khalifa's pink lips moved slightly, but she didn't dare to speak too much. So, the main role of me now is to take care of the daily life of this monster. Khalifa's beautiful eyes were full of bewilderment. An excellent agent of CP9, of course she never imagined that she would become someone else's personal nanny. The development of this matter is too dramatic. Even though he had reached the port coast of the capital of Seven Waters, Khalifa still couldn't react to the strong shock. Just because, all of this is really too unbelievable. Originally as a CP9 organization agent with the power to kill and kill. Suddenly, she suddenly became a personal nanny who only needs to take care of the daily life of a 7-year-old child. This change of identity naturally made it difficult for Khalifa to adapt. Rao is the mentality of her many years of spy training, and it is difficult to accept this weird thing that is happening now. And also, my mission, what should I do? Khalifa looked back, looking at the bustling capital of Seven Waters behind, in a trance. I have worked hard on the plan for 5 or 6 years. Could it be advertisement to end in failure like this? Just give up. This moment, Khalifa suddenly felt that her life seemed to have lost her goal, and she became extremely confused. Inexplicably, he became the nanny of a 7-year-old child. This naturally made Khalifa unacceptable. Although, this 7-year-old child is a monster with extremely terrifying strength and talent. But for these current arrangements, Khalifa is still very repulsive. Just helpless. The above command conveys, Khalifa, I have to obey. All the way without words. Layfon also didn't take the initiative to talk to Khalifa, who was in a trance, and let the other party be in a daze, and finally boarded the deck of the warship all the way. All the way, I saw Aokiji on the edge of the deck fence, looking at Layfon with a playful smile. I'm really envious. Aokiji spoke slowly. I'm envious of a hammer. Now I suddenly feel like I've brought a burden and trouble. Layfon slandered inwardly. Female agent, so what? Can you make yourself stronger? Cannot. If not, what should she do? What a waste of time. At first, Layfon thought it was a bit pleasing to the eye, but now he felt that if possible, he would rather send Khalifa back to the capital of Seven Waters. Burden, trouble. This is the many labels Layfon put on Khalifa. If you can't let yourself become stronger, treat a wisp as garden dew. Layfon is already thinking about finding an opportunity to kick Khalifa back, so as not to let Khalifa interfere with his daily training and strengthening plan. Still too young. Seeing the change in Layfon's face, Aokiji couldn't help laughing. By the way, Aokiji Admiral, how old are you? Layfon rolled his eyes and smiled playfully. Aokiji was a little stunned, and subconsciously answered, 47. That's really embarrassing for you. Being a Marine has delayed your life. A life without marriage is a huge flaw. I don't know, Aokiji Admiral, do you have someone you like? Layfon spoke with a look of emotion. Aokiji was suddenly speechless for a moment. Good guy, I was actually despised by a 7-year-old child. I can't bear it, but, it seems that I have no excuse to refute at all. What rebuttal? Is laughing at the other party the same as himself? But how old is the other party? Only 7 years old. What important things in life can a 7-year-old understand? Use this to make fun of each other. Aokiji shook his head to himself, he is not so stupid. Little devil, your thoughts are very dangerous. Suddenly, Aokiji approached Layfon with a malicious face. It's okay, Aokiji Admiral, I have to say, you are really a model worker of Marine. You do your best for Marine and do your duty, even ignoring the important things in your own life. It really amazes me. Advertisement. Naturally, Layfon should not miss the opportunity. If it wasn't for Aokiji, who added fuel to the fire, how could he bring the burden of Khalifa? Although, as Garp said, Khalifa is an all-around talent who will be able to sail a warship and give a lot of opinions in the future. But at the end of the day, Layfon still thinks that carrying such a burden and trouble is really a drag on himself. Aokiji suddenly suffered a megaton blow from Layfon's words. Trauma. Seriously traumatized. Or mental trauma. Rubbing his nose, Aokiji suddenly felt that the fact that the bridge of his nose was broken seemed a little insignificant. On the contrary, the words uttered from this little devil's mouth are several times more serious than the injuries caused by this punch. Tolerate. I will endure. I'm a dignified Admiral of Headquarters, I don't have the same knowledge as this kind of brat. I can't afford to provoke you, can't I hide? Who made your grandpa? The old man Vice Admiral Garp. Let's hide. Okay. Aokiji looked depressed, and quickly moved his position. See, Layfon also no longer chooses to provoke Aokiji. Not long. Khalifa left the deck under the leadership of a special person. Before leaving, Khalifa also glanced at Layfon's direction with a pair of big eyes. Seeing that Layfon didn't seem to respond to his intentions, the emotion in his heart became even weirder. Oh man, when I first invited myself, I didn't treat myself like this. Really, men are all the same. Ready to set sail. Set sail. Colonel Pakuto acted as the commander of the warship, and with a wave of his hand, he began to give loud orders to the helmsman and navigator, ordering to set sail and sail. Soon, at the behest of Pakuto, the warship slowly sailed into the current of the channel. Before sailing, the warship carried the current flowing down the waterway, and began to sail from the waterway at a very fast speed, Gujiao, to the endless sea in the distance. After the warship completely got rid of the waterway and entered the sea area smoothly. The warship has just begun to sail. The warship sailed through the sea water on both sides, and the sea surface was rippling with ripples and waves surging, floating in all directions, and the raised ripple spread farther into the sea area, officially entering the boundless sea area. Crash. Then, the reason why he arrived at the capital of Seven Waters was only because of an order from Sengoku. On the deck of the warship, looking at the sea in all directions, it is no longer possible to see the bustling and lively sea city of the capital of Seven Waters from here. Until completely leaving the sea area near the capital of Seven Waters. And this is the exact destination and terminal of the warship's next stop. Under the control of the helmsman, the warship entered the blue sea very smoothly, left the port coast of the capital of Seven Waters, and got rid of the narrow waterways in the capital of Seven Waters. The warship was considered to have returned to its original sailing route. Gradually, the capital of Seven Waters is purely an accidental temporary goal, not the real destination of the warship's voyage. The true goal of a warship has always been Marine Naval Headquarters, Marineford, this moment, visible to the naked eye. If it weren't for the influence of the order sent by Sengoku halfway, the warship would never have come to the capital of Seven Waters, and would not even pass by the waters next to the capital of Boiling Water. The warship is getting farther and farther away from the capital of Seven Waters. The helmsman controls the direction of the warship, allowing the warship to start sailing at an even speed and steadily. Advertisement Chapter 121 Sign in again. Armament Hockey awakens. Open black lens bracket 2/7 for customization close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Crash. The warship is sailing in the boundless sea, sailing at an even speed, neither fast nor slow. The sea water on both sides is rippling in ripples, the waves spread, and the ripples linger. Deck. Looking at the capital of the Seven Waters getting farther and farther away, until it completely disappeared in the eyes. Layfon looked away, with a look of emotion. This trip to the capital of Seven Waters made him have a lot of fun. Such as, hammered the Straw Hat Pirates. Destroyed CP9. These two things made Layfon emotional. Unconsciously. I am already so strong. And this is just less than a week since I just got the system. During this week, my own strength has improved by leaps and bounds, as if it was on the hook. Do not, wrong. It's just F*********** Gion, not just like it. Even Naval Headquarters Colonel Pakuto has been defeated in my hands. There are also all members of the Straw Hat Pirates and all members of CP9. My current strength should already be said to be that, looking at the ocean of the Grand Line, I definitely do not belong to the ranks of the weak. Although it's not the best, it's definitely not weak. A satisfied smile crept across Layfon's face. Who can imagine? A few days ago, I was single-handedly crushed by Colonel Pakuto. And now, only a few days have passed. However, he has already crushed Colonel Pakuto in all aspects. This is already a huge increase in strength. Layfon can't help but ring at the thought of Pakuto. The other party said at the time that it would take a year and a half for him to surpass the other party. It's really interesting. Pakuto never dreamed at the time that it only took one day to surpass the opponent. My strength is above Colonel Naval Headquarters. That is to say, it is comparable to Marine Commodore in all aspects. Even, in the ranks of Marine Commodore, my strength can be said to be among the best. Layfon's eyes twinkled. For his own strength, he certainly has a very profound concept and cognition. Above Colonel Marine, there is Marine Commodore, and then Marine Rear Admiral, Vice Admiral, Admiral. But now Layfon's strength has already crossed the threshold of Marine Commodore, and is preparing to hit the powerful class of Marine Rear Admiral. Rear Admiral, is Vice Admiral. Almost. It didn't take long for me to make my way into Vice Admiral. Then, to Yinshin. The largest span of strength, 660, is the distance from Vice Admiral to Admiral. This distance will take a long time to be fully filled. Layfon began to think in his mind. Well known. From Marine Vice Admiral to Marine Admiral, the strength gap between the two is the biggest. Marine Admiral represents the highest ceiling. And Marine Vice Admiral, the threshold is not so high. That's a huge threshold. Before crossing this threshold, the gap is immeasurable and difficult to fathom. To sum it up in the simplest words, 10 Vice Admirals, or even 100 Vice Admirals, are not as powerful as one Admiral. Of course, these Vice Admirals are measured by the strength of ordinary Vice Admirals, and do not include Marine Vice Admirals with senior qualifications such as Garp and he, who are only unilaterally unwilling to be promoted to Admirals. It's too early to think about that. At the moment, all I need is to attack the strength class of Marine Rear Admiral with all my strength. This is my goal. Of course, it's just a short-term goal. Preliminarily formulate a short-term goal task. Layfon's eyes were full of confidence, shining brightly, as far as possible, within 10 days, ensure that your own strength fully meets the standards of Marine Rear Admiral. The target has been confirmed. My short-term goals. Within 10 days, let your own strength reach Rear Admiral. For this point, Layfon is still very sure to do it. Just raise the level of Marine 6 styles to a higher level. Then, if you improve your sword skills, you should be able to reach the threshold of Marine Rear Admiral. If I want to completely let my own strength gain a firm foothold in the Marine Rear Admiral class, then I have to get in touch with 2 other brand new ability systems. Those 2 abilities are also the most commonly used and practical means of fighting in battle. Layfon's mood became somewhat expectant. That's right. Marine Rear Admiral, already available for preliminary contact. As long as you master the 2-color hockey, it is equivalent to gaining a firm foothold in the Marine Rear Admiral with complete strength. Advertisement. It is undeniable that people in the powerful class of Marine Rear Admiral do not have a deep enough understanding of double-color hockey. Basically, there are not many people who have practiced double-color hockey very proficiently. That is to say, it only needs to master the 2-color hockey beej initially, and it is enough to step into the basic level of Marine Rear Admiral's strength threshold. In the eyes of Layfon, this is not too difficult. It is a relatively simple kind. Just master the 2-color hockey. This point, Layfon is still very sure to do it within 10 days. Certainly, if his luck is not too bad, then all of this will come naturally. I hope that in the next 10 days, my luck will not be too bad. Layfon had a smile on his face. 2-color hockey, not too difficult a practical means. But this is only for Layfon. In the eyes of most people, if you want to get in touch with the 2-color hockey from a rookie level, and completely integrate the 2-color hockey into your body, so as to truly master and get started with the 2-color hockey, the degree of difficulty is relatively high. Generally speaking, to achieve the above, people with better talents need half a year of practice and experience accumulation. It will take years, as short as half a year. No matter how talented a person is, it takes at least 3 months to fully learn the use and display of 2-color hockey. It can be judged from this. 2-color hockey is actually not as easy to master as imagined. If it's really that simple, wouldn't it be possible to see elite Marines who have mastered 2-color hockey everywhere in Marine? It is not. The practice of 2-color hockey requires a certain basic threshold before you can make preliminary contact. Before this threshold is reached, the General Marine will not let elites get in touch with 2-color hockey. This would be a huge burden for them. That's why. On the Marine side, the main reason is to let the Marine elite master the Marine 6 styles first, and then get in touch with the 2-color hockey. The role of Marine 6 styles is to lay the foundation first. After the foundation is laid and the body has enough physical fitness, it will be recirculated and gradually contacted with the 2-color hockey practice. In this way, it will not cause any burden to the body. It can be said, Marine's training mode is a very qualified training template. Let a person gradually become stronger in a cycle, instead of force feeding, let people quickly get in touch with some extremely advanced fighting skills. In this way, even if you really master these fighting skills, your own strength will not be so strong. On the contrary, because of the early exposure to these combat skills, the body will not be able to bear the burden, and eventually collapse directly. Similar examples are not uncommon. Over the years. In Marine, more or less, there will be these extreme examples. But most of them end in failure, and the results are very miserable. So, Marine strictly prohibits cramming training to squeeze the potential of the human body and endow the human body with the ability to quickly become stronger in a short period of time. This kind of force-feeding model has been banned by Marine executives many years ago. 2-color hockey. Now I'm getting started with Marine 6 styles. It can be regarded as having the qualification to practice 2-color hockey. If my strength wants to be significantly improved, there are only 2 most obvious directions. The first, improve your sword skills. The second way is to start practicing 2-color hockey. As for Marine 6 styles, Layfon frowned. Ignore the idea of boosting Marine 6 styles for now. Marine 6 styles, enough is enough. No matter how deep the practice is, it is far less effective than the 2-color hockey in actual combat. If there is time to improve Marine 6 styles, Layfon prefers to spend all his time improving his sword skills. This is the better direction to become stronger. Marine 6 styles. After all, there is a limit. But swordsmanship has no limit. At least, the current Layfon is still far, far away from the realm of true swordsmanship. Rather than spending time honing Marine 6 styles, Layfon felt that it would be better to devote all his time to the practice of swordsmanship, so that his own strength would be more obvious. Also, that is the practice of 2-color hockey. There is no doubt that practicing 2-color hockey can bring a huge leap to Layfon's strength at one time. Mastering 2-color hockey and not mastering 2-color hockey are completely different concepts. E.g., before mastering the 2-color hockey, if Layfon really confronts Aokiji in a serious state, even if the situation of far difference in strength is ignored, Aokiji will stand still and Layfon will be helpless. At this time, the role of armament hockey will be perfectly reflected. Physical attacks can be performed directly on Logia users. If you don't master the armed color, unless you hold a seastone weapon, you won't be able to cause any substantial damage to the Logia ability user. Advertisement. Not even the slightest threat exists. This is the biggest difference between mastering two-color hockey and not mastering two-color hockey. Without mastering the color of armament, if Layfon encounters a Logia-capable user, it will be really powerful and inconvenient. This taste must be quite uncomfortable and painful. Plus, armed color can give Layfon's offensive means more terrible destructive power. Armed color. It can also make the weapon in your hand stronger, so that it will not be damaged in battle. Layfon looked at the katana he carried at his waist. This is an excellent samurai sword made by Marine. In fact, it is not much different from ordinary samurai swords. After all, it does not belong to the ranks of famous swords. Soon, I will have a famous knife of my own. Layfon thought to himself. As a qualified swordsman, it is essential to have a famous sword at hand. Also, the color of knowledge. Two-color hockey is the only way to the road to the strong. Indispensable. Think twice. Layfon clarified his goals. Assault the Marine Rear Admiral in 10 days. In 10 days, master the two-color hockey as much as possible. Furthermore, if possible, raise your own swordsmanship to a higher level. As for the last conquerors and Marine 6 styles, these two can be explained a little bit. The key to the battle depends on the two-color hockey and swordsmanship. Marine 6 styles, as long as you understand a little bit. That's what Layfon had in mind. Swordsmanship and two-color hockey are the main training directions. Secondly, piggybacking up conquerors and Marine 6 styles, if still possible. As the saying goes, more skills don't overwhelm you. Layfon won't mind either, allowing himself to have more practical skills. Anyway, he also doesn't need to use the extra time to cultivate these abilities. As a hacker, if you have to practice all means by yourself, wouldn't it be embarrassing for the identity of the hacker? Crash. The sea current is surging, and ripples spread in all directions. After withdrawing his gaze, Layfon turned around and walked slowly back to his room. Next, wait for the upcoming sign in moment. The next day. The sun was shining and the sky was clear. Inside the room. Layfon is by the window. The golden sun shone on his body, and the warmth flowed slowly on the surface of his body. Feeling this warmth, he couldn't help but close his eyes slightly, and feel it carefully. When he opened his eyes again, Layfon began to mutter in his heart. System, start signing in. As always, it's time for the daily check-in. And this is also the most anticipated time of the day for Layfon. It's time to get stronger. So, this time, what kind of ability can I get from signing here? Layfon is looking forward to this. His eyes flickered, staring at the beating of the system's panel, the anticipation on his face could not be concealed, quietly waiting for the system's response. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket. The cumulative time of the detection system has reached 24 hours. Open black lens bracket. Congratulations to host, you got the ability gift package for sign in reward. Close black lens bracket. Confirm check-in. It was that familiar and pleasant voice. Open black lens bracket. Sign in successfully. Close black lens bracket. To Layfon's ears, this familiar voice is like the most beautiful piece of music in the world. Congratulations to the Lord. Get armament hockey from the ability gift bag. Open black lens bracket. Ability gift pack is opening. Close black lens bracket. As usual, during the check-in process, there were no mistakes or accidents. Layfon took a deep breath and spit out 2 words. Coming. All the processes are so familiar to Layfon that he can't be more familiar with them, and he doesn't need to deliberate in detail for too long. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket. Layfon had a thought. Open black lens bracket enabled. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Do you want to open the ability gift pack? Close black lens bracket. The system sound appeared again. Open black lens bracket. You can sign in. Please host to confirm again. Do you want to sign in? Close black lens bracket. Advertisement Chapter 122 Sublimation of Power. A huge leap in strength. Open black lens bracket 3/7 for customization. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. The melodious voice of the system lingered in Layfon's ears. Like the most beautiful notes in the world, forming a beautiful piece of music. Let Layfon's thinking become ethereal, and his whole body seems to be bathed in the spring sunshine. The warm halo nourishes the body, and the warm meaning slowly flows in the heart. The atmosphere has become quiet. Crash. Outside the window, as the warship sailed, waves of ripples floated up, spreading in all directions, and the sound of seawater fluttering and splashing was crisp and melodious. Layfon, who was in the room, was dumbfounded. Quite a while. He slowly opened his eyes and pupils couldn't hide the mad joy visible to the naked eye. The change of expression on Layfon's face, speed, unbelievably fast. From being stunned and sluggish at the beginning, it quickly changed to excited. Many emotions swept Layfon's heart. These emotions are hard to contain, all revealed on his face. How would you describe Layfon's mood at the moment? Just like dozing off, the system just sent a pillow. It's just so sweet, just in line with Layfon's expectations and fantasies. It can be said that it was carried out perfectly as Layfon envisioned in his heart. Armed color. It's armament hockey. I just thought about mastering two-color hockey within 10 days. Unexpectedly, when I signed in the next day, the system seemed to hear my voice and sent me the ability I most desperately wanted. Like dozed off, I brought a pillow. Layfon was so excited that it was difficult to calm down. Original. He was thinking in his heart, if he could sign in today and get any of the two-color hockey, it would be perfect. Never thought. This idea has really come true. Really armed. According to the common sense plan, Layfon believes that the armed color should be obtained from the check-in within 5 days. Of course, if the luck is extremely bad, it is difficult to judge. But he still didn't expect that his luck was so good. Out of luck, I just had the idea of mastering two-color hockey, and the next day the armed color came. It was a big surprise, and suddenly it hit Layfon hard on the head. Let Layfon's thinking become a little blank, and it is still difficult to calm down the emotional waves of excitement. Armed color. The actual combat methods that must be mastered on the road to the real strong. Layfon's eyes twinkled. If you don't master the armed color, then you will always be a Logia-capable user. But mastering the armed color is different. Those with Logia abilities will no longer be able to resist attacks from armed colors. Therefore, armament hockey is the standard to measure the strength of a strong man. Armed color is the best way to judge a person's strength. People who have mastered the armed color are generally impossible to be weak, and they can be regarded as meeting the basic threshold of a strong person in the sea. Of course, just the basic threshold. But even so, it can be regarded as surpassing the strength of 90% of High's population. This shows the practicality of armament hockey in this sea. To deal with Logia ability users, of course armed color is the most practical means. Unless you use Seastone as a weapon, you can only use armament hockey to deal with Logia ability users. But how precious is Seastone? Not everyone can use Seastone to make weapons, and doing so is too extravagant. In this way, the role of armament hockey is very obvious. Armed color is not too popular in the Grand Line. Not many people have mastered it, and it is a relatively high-end combat skill. The second half of the road, the dangerous sea area of New World. Armament hockey, that's the way to go. Before I mastered the two-color hockey, I was ashamed to go to New World. In short, two-color hockey is the basic threshold to measure whether you can set foot in the New World. Before you master the two-color hockey, rushing to New World is purely to die. Layfon's mood became emotional. Nowadays, by myself, I have already mastered half of the basic qualifications to the New World. Advertisement. The other half, presumably soon. Armed color has awakened. Just ask, can knowledge and color be too far away? Not far away. Layfon is confident that in the near future, he will master knowledge and knowledge again. And so do, truly master two-tone hockey. Cultivate the two-color hockey to the level of entry at the same time. In this way, Layfon is basically qualified to rush to New World. It can also be said that they initially have the basic threshold to hit the Marine Rear Admiral power class. Marine Rear Admiral, hurry up, my strength, in the past few days, will definitely usher in another leap forward. Layfon thought with anticipation and excitement. Thinking of this, he only felt his blood boil. This powerful class of Marine Rear Admiral seems to be getting closer and closer to me. Once he had fully mastered the two-color hockey, Layfon felt that he could try to challenge those Rear Admiral strongmen in Naval Headquarters. Plus Euro. Do not, within 5 days, strive to master observation hockey again. True, mastering two-tone hockey. No, conquerors hockey. Including, now I have an awakened conquerors. Layfon has very strong confidence in this. Luck is really hard to judge. When luck explodes, nothing can stop it. So Layfon is very confident that his luck will definitely not be too bad in the next few days. Call. Suppressing all the thoughts in his mind, Layfon turned his eyes and returned to the matter at hand. Armed color, successfully awakened. Let's see how much improvement and change the armed color can bring to your own strength. No more. The awakening of the armed color also gave me the means to deal with Logia ability users. If it weren't for this, if I encounter Logia ability users in the future, there is basically no possibility of confronting them. At that time, I will be in a passive state of being beaten. Layfon relieved himself a little. He suppressed the excitement in his heart, and began to feel the changes in his body carefully. At the same time, a warm current began to flow and fill Layfon's body. Flowing limbs, transform meridians and bones. Also, a wave of knowledge, like a tide, rushed into Layfon's mind crazily, causing a lot of knowledge in his head out of thin air. 15 Innate knowledge. Carry out the heart and integrate into the body. Probably less than 30 seconds passed. Layfon, who closed his eyes, opened them again, his pupils flickered brightly, and his thinking seemed to become open-minded, with a feeling of sudden enlightenment. Armed color. It turned out to be that simple. Layfon smiled. Yes. After receiving the watering of system knowledge, he suddenly had an illusion that the casting and mastering of armament hockey is very simple. Not an illusion, but the real feeling, because the system allows Layfon's armament hockey to achieve the effect of getting started instantly. Nature. This leads Layfon to think that arming the. But this is just, for Layfon who has turned on. In fact, for other people, the difficulty factor of armed color is quite high. No one can imitate. Layfon's way of mastering armed colors is so shocking. Get started instantly. And, at this moment, Layfon only feels that his mastery and use of armament hockey, as well as his understanding of armament hockey, are like 10 people who have practiced armament hockey for several years. Asking for flowers. Experience. Experienced. Advertisement. There is no jerky feeling at all. Instead, I feel that armament hockey is like my innate talent. Just like controlling your own hands and feet, there is no strangeness at all. And this is the scariest part of the system. Let Layfon get started instantly out of thin air, and let Layfon seem to have experienced several years of tempering. Let him directly get started with the armed color level he possesses, without any jerky. The feeling of the armed color. Proficient. It seems that I have been exposed to armed colors several years ago. The system does not deceive me. The smile on Layfon's face was extraordinarily bright. Since then announced. Layfon, officially learn armament hockey. In the case of an instant entry, he has years of experience in cultivating armed colors. This is the benefit that the system gives directly to Layfon armament hockey. No need to practice. There is no need for time to hone and precipitate. Just for a split second. Layfon's mastery of armed color is like the kind of person who has practiced armed color for several years, with rich experience and sophistication. You can completely get rid of it. The novice's use of weapons is immature and jerky. 0. Let me feel it again, the specific method of using armament hockey. Layfon looked down at his fists. Clenched fists. Feeling, both fists are filled with that explosive power itching. Then, Layfon had a thought. A force surged from his body and quickly affected his fists. At a speed visible to the naked eye. I see. A layer of black armor that was as indestructible as steel gradually protruded from the skin and completely wrapped the fists. The smell that emanates is particularly strange. Dense. Cold. Finally, this layer of black armor completely covered Layfon's fists. The pair of fists seemed to be covered with indestructible steel gloves, exuding a cold and sharp aura, which was so cold that people could only feel creepy. This moment, Layfon, whose fists are covered with black hockey armor, exudes a majestic aura from his body, full of oppression. Strength. A steady stream of surging power all emerged above the fists and wrapped around them. Let Layfon have a feeling at this point. His fists seem to be able to break everything in the world at any time. Destroy any object. As this the armed color. My strength becomes so strong, so strong. Compared to the past, it is much stronger. Looking at the indestructible black armor wrapped in his fists, and feeling the terrifying power contained in his fists at this moment, Layfon's expression was full of wonder. He can clearly feel it. The power contained in his fists almost showed a leap forward surge. In short, absolutely more than that, this moment. This can be called a dramatic change and sublimation of power quality. The two cannot be confused at all. This is at least a few dozen times the increase in strength. What's more, Layfon has made a huge leap in strength. Double, with the strength of Layfon at the moment. So, do not, the strength of Layfon a moment ago. It's much more than just doubling. If it is said that without the power of armament hockey, his fists can only burst out with a ton of power. It's armament hockey, a terrifying boost and boost to Layfon's own power. And this, it can be said that it is like two different people. When armament hockey is cast, both fists are covered by armed armor. My own fists can burst out at least 20 tons, even 30 tons, 40 tons of terrifying power. Advertisement Chapter 123. Now I can instantly kill Pokato. Open black lens bracket 4/7 for customization. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Strength. Full of explosive power, full of fists, wrapped in this layer of black armed armor, endowing Layfon with endless power. My strength. A truly great leap forward. If I were to fight against Colonel Pokato again, I don't think it takes a minute for me to completely crush him. Do not just to defeat, but to kill on the spot, instant kill. Layfon's eyes twinkled and he thought, if Colonel Pokato was used as a benchmark to measure one's own strength, it would still be too bullying. Even before armament hockey is mastered, Layfon's strength can be regarded as having entered the threshold of Marine Commodore, which is one level higher than Pokato's strength level. After mastering armament hockey now, strictly speaking, Layfon's strength has once again surpassed Commodore's strength class. Certainly, before fully grasping the color of knowledge and knowledge, Layfon's strength is not really superior to Commodore, but has reached the basic strength threshold of Marine Rear Admiral. But now that he has mastered the armed color, Layfon's strength is already much stronger than the average Marine Commodore. And Pokato, after all, is just Colonel Naval Headquarters. Although Pokato has followed Garp for many years, his strength can only be regarded as the best among the Naval Headquarters colonels, but he cannot really reach the strength level of the quasi-7 generals. Therefore, comparing the current Layfon with Pokato, there is no comparison between the two. My strength, placed in the Marine Commodore, should already be considered among the best and outstanding. I can barely touch the gate of the Marine Rear Admiral. But if you want to really step into this door, you have to really master the knowledge. Without observation hockey, it is still too disadvantageous in actual combat. Marine Rear Admiral, not too far away. If you compare the bounty offered by the pirates, my strength should already be comparable to the pirates with 200 million berry, right? It's just that he hasn't fought against pirates with a bounty of 200 million berry, so Layfon can't really make an accurate judgment. Can I defeat the 200 million berry pirates? Clenching his fists tightly, feeling the force of his fists, Layfon was full of anticipation. Who can imagine? Will he reach his current level of strength at such a terrifying speed? Colonel Marine. Do not. It is above Colonel Marine. In Marine Commodore, Layfon's strength is also the best, ranking among the best. Not all Marine Commodores have armament hockey. Most of them start learning from the knowledge color, and then start to contact the armed color. Layfon, on the other hand, directly cultivates the armed color to the entry level. Compared with someone who just learned armament hockey, Layfon has a much higher level of proficiency in armament hockey. After all, What the system gave Layfon was direct indoctrination, which gave Layfon several years of knowledge and mastery of armament hockey out of thin air. Everything is handy, without any jerky and strangeness. Blink. Less than a week to go to sea. But my strength, from the beginning, it was very difficult to fight against Colonel Pocato. Then, to defeat Colonel Pocato. At last. That is to say, now, my strength can already kill Colonel Pocato. It's only been a week. Layfon narrowed his eyes slightly, feeling very emotional. Even I didn't expect that the speed of my own strength improvement would be so rapid. Don't say that others can't believe it, even he himself feels like a dream about it. Getting stronger is as easy as drinking water. Too fast. In less than a week, from a rookie, he has grown to be able to kill Colonel Pocato in seconds. Strength has entered the Marine Commodore class, and still belongs to the top class in this class. Within a week. Advertisement. My swordsmanship has improved dramatically. Also mastered Conquerors, and Marine 6 styles. Now, learned armament hockey again. The only thing left is the last knowledge color. After learning the knowledge color, my actual combat methods can be regarded as truly comprehensive. Certainly. Now, my strength is enough to easily sweep 90% of the people in the sea. It's not weak anymore, although it's not top-notch, it's not inferior to too many people. Quote. Layfon wondered. Next, do I have to think about finding a benchmark that can measure the progress of my own strength? Colonel Pocato. Never mind. Now go to Colonel Pocato for a duel, not to mention whether he will agree. It seems like I can't justify my one after another, Colonel Pocato. This makes him lose all prestige in front of this group of Marine soldiers. Colonel Pocato, you helped me a lot before. This time, I won't bother you. Layfon shook his head, temporarily dismissing the idea. It may be more than 10 times its own strength, and it would be too bullying to challenge Pocato. Furthermore, Pocato's strength can no longer be used to measure Mao Feng's actual experience standards. In short, Pocato is no longer qualified to be Layfon's opponent. Even if there is a real duel, it is purely just an instant kill. Layfon, kill Pocato completely. Such a duel is meaningless. Apart from seriously damaging the prestige of the dignified colonel of naval headquarters in Pocato, it does not have much substantive effect on Layfon itself. If Pocato knew that Layfon, who had just increased his strength by 10 or 20 times, suddenly aimed at him, a mere Colonel Marine, he might stand on end with hairs all over his body. Poor Colonel Pocato. Now he doesn't even have the qualifications to be Layfon's opponent. Just thought of. Pocato said that day, it will take at least half a year for Layfon to surpass him. Now, comparing Layfon's growth rate of terrifying strength, this invisible slap in the face was really very loud for Pocato. Half a year. Do you need it? Joke. In less than a week, Layfon has completely crushed Pocato. What about half a year? No need for half a month. If you fight again. Plus, Layfon is confident that he can beat Pocato in seconds. In this way, does it appear that I am too arrogant? Forget it. Give Colonel Pocato some face. Try to suppress and resolve the battle within 30 seconds. If it takes 10 seconds, it will still embarrass him. Layfon thought strangely. In fact, Pocato couldn't understand him from beginning to end. The Layfon he rated. The other party, what a terrifying monster exists. I, Layfon, 7 years old this year, have mastered the armed color. Still pregnant with conquerors, and good swordsmanship attainments, and proficiency in Marine 6 styles. With a thought in his mind, Layfon gradually retracted the armed colored armor of his fists. Armored with indestructible colored armor, it quickly disappears into Layfon's fist skin. Losing the entanglement of the armed armor made Layfon suddenly have a psychological gap, and the endless sense of power in his fists disappeared in smoke. System, bring up the body attribute panel. Layfon took a deep breath and muttered in his heart expectantly. Open black lens bracket host. Layfon close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Open black lens bracket power. 30 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket speed. 31 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket physical strength. 29 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket skills. Swordsmanship LV10, Conquerors Hockey IV4, Armament Hekild 1, Marine 6 styles 1 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket skill point. 0 close black lens bracket. Really, as Layfon expected, in this box of the skill panel, there is an additional armament hockey ability panel. Although the level is not too high, it is only compared to the system's level evaluation. That is, even though Layfon's armament hockey is only at the IV1 level, in fact, his proficiency and strength of the armed color is already much stronger than many so-called people who are just getting started with the armed color. LV1 is simply the lowest level in the system evaluation, and it does not mean that, looking at the sea, Layfon's armed colors can only be regarded as the weakest. Just like, Layfon's Marine 6 styles are only LV1, but they are already on par with Lu Qi's Marine 6 styles, and their proficiency is relatively close. To know, Lu Qi and his Marine 6 styles have been honed for 10 or 20 years. But Layfon, just relying on IV1's Marine 6 styles, is enough to rival them. It is conceivable that IV1 is actually not that weak, it is just the lowest level evaluation of the system, nothing more. Wait to master the color of knowledge. That's when I stepped into the power class of Marine Rear Admiral. This day is getting closer and closer to me. Marine Rear Admiral, it will be completed within 10 days. Then strike again, Marine Vice Admiral. Looking at the sunny weather outside the window, Layfon's mood became extraordinarily comfortable and joyful. The golden halo falls on the azure sea, the golden light on the sea surface, and the golden light from the sky shines down from the window, nourishing Layfon's body. The meaning of warmth flows slowly through the body. It's time to go out and see where we are probably sailing to now. Layfon opened the door directly. Pushing open the door, a dazzling halo spilled out. He couldn't help it, and raised his left hand to slightly cover the dazzling and hot halo. Tread, tread. A burst of chaotic footsteps lingered and echoed on the deck, reaching Layfon's ears. Follow the trend and look forward. Can be seen. A group of Marines dressed as Marine soldiers are busy with their own work, appearing to be very noisy, talking and laughing, not feeling happy. Mr. Layfon 1.7. By the way, how far is it from Marineford? After spending so long sailing, are you finally going to this sacred and inviolable place in Marine's mind? Then, Layfon, who had just walked out of the room, did not linger in this place for too long, but turned around and walked to the center of the deck of the warship. For Marineford, Layfon still has some expectations. The captured Marine soldier answered truthfully with a respectful expression. Defeating Colonel Pocato at the age of 7, this terrifying level of strength naturally attracted admiration from all of them. This whole warship, Layfon's status has been highly praised. Colonel Pocato said that if the voyage goes well and there are no accidents on the way, you can arrive at Naval Headquarters Marineford tomorrow. When seeing Layfon walk out of the room, a Marine looked at Layfon with eyes of awe and admiration, and greeted Layfon with a particularly respectful tone. As the most sacred area of Naval Headquarters, Marineford will naturally attract most people's hearts. Layfon is only 7 years old. The sea, Hyuga Black Friday. Tomorrow. As early as the moment Layfon beat Pocato, Layfon grabbed a Marine soldier at random and asked. The essential. And Layfon's strength has deeply impressed all of them. Advertisement.